BotRix said BotRix has correctly joined the channel.
There we go. Let's find hands here. Okay.
Stream Elements said Stream Elements bot running robot emoji. Learn how to customize the bot here.
Okay, the hands like this. So we'll take away 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we'll go down here. Copy. Paste. Okay. And then what we'll do over here. That. And then what we'll do is grab the feet. Hang like that. Right. So what can we do? Okay. And then what we'll do is put it like let's bring his hands off, but where do we? It's here. Okay, and then hands like that. Wait, I'm confused. I never. Oh. So if I make it the head like this. Okay. Let's see. If the face is so if I were to curve the head like this. Okay. 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 Turn the head. And then what we'll do is cut it like this. Oh, that's too. We'll just go with that for now. And then the head. Right. Yeah. Okay. Curve it like that.
Drawing Its Life 13 said, "What app is that?"
Clip Studio Paint. The app is Clip Studio Paint.
Drawing Its Life 13 said, "Do you got to pay?" Bakeshop
Yes,
Trill.
you'll have to pay.
GD
It's not free.
Turniphead just followed.
Let's see here. So we try like this. Or maybe I should move the body like this. He's being very smug about it, so Sonic's pretty smug about that, so it'll be like this. And then put the hand about here. I think that makes more sense. Sonic's
Make Gun
body
just
will look
followed.
like this. Right, and then we'll put the shoes about here or something. Okay, makes sense. You have to pay, yes. Okay. Now I need to make sure when he closes his eyes, like that. So we have our overall gesture here. So what we need to do, let's get rid of this, like that, right. Okay. So what we'll do is turn, get rid of that. Oh, okay. Make the stomach here, right. This arm are too robotic. I'm gonna get rid of them. It makes no sense. If you guys like what you're seeing, please have a like. I will appreciate this 14, y'all. Okay. Okay. So grab this head. Do. Up here, like that. Then, okay. And then make it, grab that. Okay. So the head. Oops, that's so good. Okay, so that's on that side. Right. Okay, and then the mouth. I just like, okay. I'm gonna. I think I made a mistake here. So like, okay, like this. Right. Okay. I'm not thicken inside here because it's gonna look really weird. So keep the outside thickened, but not the inside. Okay. And then too big. Hmm. Okay.
KURO said spent $100 purely on erasers and pencils.
That's actually traditional.
KURO said yep.
Yeah, that's why I avoid doing that for a long time. I went to digital because I didn't want to pay for all that traditional stuff. My traditional way is usually just a paper and pencil. I didn't really subscribe to getting all the different pencils and stuff because that gets expensive fast.
KURO said downside is water is bad.
Yeah. Downside is water. That's bad. Okay.
KURO said how do I keep getting gifter when I don't gift?
Oh, I really don't know what to tell you on that one. Okay. I think I made the hair a little bit too big, but we'll fix it later.
KURO said I think I have cracked the code, 0.
0.
KURO said is it Sonic or Shadow?
Oh, Sonic. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Jason Ashley said, "Can you do Batman next?"
No, I'm not drawing for fun. I'm drawing this for a deadline. I have to get this done. I don't draw things for free. I don't do requests either. Either you do a commission or I don't do it at all. Sorry though.
Jason Ashley said, "Okay."
Gotcha. Okay, I like that.
C just followed.
Thank you for the follow. Okay, the hair, the mouth. It's kind of silly. I want to fix that. It's too far back.
Jason Ashley said, "It looked cool by the way."
Thank you.
Artistic Dreaming just followed.
Okay, his nose is like that. I'll fix it. It looks weird. I'll just fix it. Like that. I know it looks kind of ridiculous, but please bear with me. It looks a little weird, so I'm gonna fix it. Okay. Okay, so how would this look?
Monkeys from Ian just followed.
Okay, so we got that. Alright, so let's see here. Okay. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. But it's not as consistent as the other two, so I have to fix that. So 1, so he's like, okay. And then he's like, and then he's gonna. Okay. Did you look at him? Oh, he does. There we go. Right. Okay. Fair enough. So it's like, oh, I'm missing something. Oh, that one. Okay.
Bill Cipher asks Emo Sonic.
Yeah. Song. Oops.
Maura Leather said 1 You should be in bed 2 The audio from the video is muted unless you
I
want it
know.
that way.
I want it that way. I don't want to get copyrighted again. It's just what I'm watching. But if you want to hear it, there you go.
And Lumen capabilities to help increase rendering performance, which is an extremely important consideration for VR games. Now, Unity used to be the most popular choice for XR back in the day when it was less popular. So we can expect that nowadays they've kept up with the technology stack, so they do have support for VR, AR, and MR as well. They recently updated their XR toolkit for their Unity 6 release, adding foveated rendering support, which tracks the user's eye gaze and renders
Maura
what they
Lather
aren't
said
looking
rather,
at lesser
you make your
quality
money
for
then you
safe
let me me listen.
performance, which I
I'll
think
let you do
is
your
super
thing.
cool. Unfortunately,
That's
Unreal has
fine.
yet to add this feature to their official tooling. Now you can make a VR game in either one, but for the most flexibility, especially if you want to publish a game on a standalone VR device like Meta Quest, Unity is likely to perform better, and XR has always been a main focus of theirs. Web. As attention spans get shorter and people want easier way to play games that don't require downloading a software, web games provide a massive opportunity to reach a wider audience. Now, unfortunately, Unreal does not support web games anymore. You'd have to employ a third-party streaming software, which seems very expensive. The engine is simply focused on games that need more beefy hardware to run. On the opposing side, Unity is again the
Maura
king
Lathers
or
asks, so,
queen
it's her.
of web.
Did she
They've
tell you
always
which
made
engine
it a
is good?
priority to have support
That's what
for
she's
WebGL,
doing, but I
and
can go
even
back, I don't
support
mind.
WebGL. Is Unreal Engine 5 or Unity 6 the better game engine? And which should you use for your next project? Unreal Engine 5 is known for having insane features that completely dominate the AAA industry, and they continue to deliver amazing updates every few months, especially with their recent 5.5 release. But while Unity 6 arrived in a storm of controversy and has been seen as lackluster in comparison, can their recent shocking announcements about their future plans compete against Unreal Engine 5, which may not be as perfect as you think? So I'll uncover the truth behind both engines, comparing new and existing features, rendering capabilities, performance, community support, future plans, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what engine is best suited for your next project. Graphics. Let's start with Unreal Engine 5. Its highly anticipated arrival in April of 2022 introduced game-changing advancements in graphics and optimization with Nanite and Lumen. You know those huge open worlds that AAA games spend years crafting in custom game engines with a team of dozens of engineers? Well, Unreal Engine has made it so easy that one indie developer can make something similar in only a fraction of the time. And that's the power of Nanite, a system of virtualized geometry which divides the environment into different clusters in real time and only renders or streams what is needed. Things further away are also rendered at less quality depending on what the player is looking at. So now you could import literal real-life 3D scans of models with 8K textures and have them appear at maximum quality with little to no performance loss. With each new version of Unreal, they've been improving Nanite to be able to handle more complex objects faster. And in version 5.4, Nanite even got an update allowing for bumps and fine details to be added without altering the original mesh model. But large open worlds rely on something even more important to look good, and those are lights. And that's where their new system of dynamic global illumination, Lumen, would come in. In the past, and still present, most games rely on a form of baked lighting, which essentially turns the lights in a scene into a texture, which is then overlaid on the map. This is because lights are hard and expensive when it comes to performance. But with Lumen, you can have real-time multi-bounce lighting, which is how it works in real life and how most games end up looking photorealistic. Just look at the launch demo of Unreal Engine 5 showcasing Nanite and Lumen. Nanite takes over 1 billion triangles each frame and cuts them down with no loss in quality to around 20 million, while Lumen works in the background and makes the scene look absolutely spectacular. Here's the scene with no Lumen for reference. Oh, and did I mention this is all running in a PlayStation 5? In their latest 5.5 release, they
Maura
announced
Lathers
another
said, just
insane
imagine you have
feature
the pane
called
light bill inside
Megalights,
of your
which allows
video
for
game in
dozens
real
of
life.
movable,
Yeah,
dynamic, and environment-affecting lights with minimal performance costs, so you can have realistic lighting to match the environment. And speaking of realism, UE5 supports real-time ray tracing, which allows for bounced lighting, true reflections, translucency, and precise ambient occlusion, which leads to super accurate shadows. And if it wasn't enough, they also support temporal super resolution, which lets
Kennedy
you use
just
AI to
followed.
scale a game running at a lower resolution to 4K. 5.0 also launched with free megascans, which are thousands of 3D photogrammetry scanned models at high quality, paired with Quixel Bridge, which lets you import them into Unreal seamlessly. Unfortunately, 2024 is the last year to get these megascans for free, so in the description I've linked the way to easily claim all of them. Basically, you go to fab.com and scroll down. They also recently added support for orthographic rendering in 5.5, which is
Thank
a
you for
type of
follow.
camera that doesn't take into account perspective. The biggest pro of Unreal Engine is that they are always pushing the limits of graphics, and Epic Games uses the upgrades it makes to their flagship game Fortnite and work with other AAA studios and provides them for free to all users of their engine. Now let's see how Unity 6, the competition, compares, and if it can beat Unreal Engine in the graphics category. Unity 6 has two main render pipelines: Universal Render Pipeline, or URP, and High Definition Render Pipeline, or HDRP. Both make up the Scriptable Render Pipeline, or SRP. Confusing, right? Well, both have different use cases depending on graphical quality and may even have different features. URP is sort of an all-rounder, designed to work well on a range of devices from low-end phones to high-end PCs. It trades off graphical quality for flexibility and performance. We're using it for our 3D desktop game to be able to run the game efficiently in the background. Help me out by wishlisting the game on Steam. The link is in the description. Thank you. Conversely, HDRP is the, well, high definition version. It's meant for high quality graphics that you might expect in AAA games. Since we're comparing graphics, let's focus on the high definition one, or HDRP. HDRP offers an advanced lighting system similar to Lumen that allows for physically accurate light behavior. However, it is a little less performant than Lumen, since Unreal uses some extra performance tricks. HDRP has a wide range of light types and supports real-time ray tracing lighting, shadows, and ambient occlusion as well. It also supports path tracing, a very cool experimental technology where every light interaction is simulated frame by frame for realistic results. I was also very excited to see Unity 6 ship with the long-awaited Adaptive Probe Volumes, or APVs, which not only offer performance but accurate per-pixel lighting. It works by automatically placing points in the level where the light should be calculated, which is super handy for bigger detailed levels. Unfortunately, you do have to configure these beforehand, and it does not calculate it in real time. Both engines also support Screen Space Ambient Occlusion, or SSAO, which is used for super accurate shadows along with a variety of other features to enhance realism. Although they do not have a direct competitor to Nanite, you can use the traditional method of generating LODs, or level of details, for every object and switching out the higher quality model for the lower one depending on the distance to the player. While Unity does have some impressive technical demos, it unfortunately falls flat when compared to the more advanced graphical features of Unreal Engine 5, and thus the point for this category will have to go to Unreal Engine 5. Woo! Now, most developers won't need most of these high-tech graphical features, and they can often cause a game to be bloated or need a lot of performance. So it's important to consider other aspects of the engine, such as how easy it is to use or its flexibility. We still have a lot more categories to go, and the winner might surprise you. World building.
Hold on, before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me introduce you to all of the
Large, detailed open worlds used to be something only AAA studios could do until recently, but Unreal Engine 5 has been making tremendous advancements to not only make these tools accessible to everyone, but to make them as high quality as possible. While Nanite does the heavy lifting for performance, world building is an art form in itself. And luckily, Unreal has some incredible tools for making environments look spectacular. Since the engine is so focused on artists and cinematics, this attention to detail is shown in the tools they support. In the 5.2 release, they introduced an incredible procedural content generation framework, which automatically populates and updates the map when something is added or removed. Placing each rock entry is a lot of work, so having a tool like this is a lifesaver for game developers. This paired with a new world partition system, which divides large levels into smaller sections and streams only the necessary parts based on the player's location, makes it possible for small teams to recreate even an amazing demo such as this one. And in the recent 5.5 release, they not only added a new water system to support even more accurate large bodies of water, but they also added support for a day and night cycle. They also introduced Substrate, a new material framework to allow for more detailed and high-quality materials in-game. Unity also has an extensive terrain editing tool and features a free add-on package called Pro Builder that has some great 3D modeling functionality to help with prototyping levels. HDRP also supports an incredible water system, including waves, caustics, foam, and more, along with beautiful volumetric clouds that also support real-time light scattering and wind. They also just recently released an easy-to-use day and night cycle. During Unite, they also boasted their speed tree integration, which allows for hundreds of fast procedural trees to appear in a scene. So it's pretty obvious that Unreal Engine 5 yanks the point from Unity, in the world building category. But while Unreal speeds past Unity and continues to dominate in the 3D space, Unity has some secret weapons of its own. Ease of use. This is a tricky one. Unreal Engine uses a system called blueprints, which lets you use visual blocks as a substitute to code. But you can also use their customized version of the C++ language. Blueprints are absolutely great for beginners and for teams, as it lets artists work alongside the developers with little interference. However, I'm not a huge fan of their C++ in general, since the skill is not as transferable to other engines or programs. It can also feel pretty overwhelming when using the engine. There's so many buttons that do so many things, so expect a very large learning curve. And their documentation is known for being a little lackluster in comparison to Unity's. But they have recently released their new Fab asset store with thousands of assets for any game engine, which can be very appealing for indie developers who might
More
need
Lathers
some
asks
art
that's
or
kind of
help with
stupid
certain
since it's not
mechanics.
transferable,
Unreal
then why
Engine
make
is
it that
actually
way?
massive
Not
and
sure.
frankly loaded with the amount of
I am not
features
sure.
that it has. So you have to have a pretty good computer to run it and a lot of hard drive space, which can be a pretty big deterrent to a lot of indie developers. Meanwhile, the best thing about Unity and what attracts most people to it
Consistency
is its flexibility. And it really shines when you know how to use it to its fullest and make your own tools to help make your workflow
doesn't
faster.
feel very
It's also great for
consistent,
adding
so
modability into your game so you can keep an active community and have your game live longer.
Or
I
maybe
also
what
love
I
the
can
C#
do,
language and how easy it is to
grab
code
the
exactly what you want to
Oh, this
happen.
is an
It's also a
option,
great language to know for industry, and once you know it, it's much easier to learn other type of similar languages. Although their visual scripting
like
solution called Bolt is not as great as Unreal's solution, they had acquired the company that made Bolt in 2020 but left the tool behind in the dust, which is unfortunately quite common with Unity. Unity also has one of the best asset stores with thousands of assets, making it super easy for beginners to get started.
Yep,
It
what
was
we
known
can
to be
do is
better than
delete
Unreal's
this.
marketplace, but since the launch of
Right, and
Fab,
then we
I'm
can
very
do-
curious to see if they will overtake Unity. Now, this point could go either way, but because Unity is more friendly towards cross-platform development and can be
Nah,
a better
I'm just gonna
option
look
for
really weird.
lower
It's like a
performing
whole new drawing.
machines, Unity takes home the prize. Due to its simple language, its
My
learning
worst thing I
curve,
did
and
is
its
erase the
flexibility
circle
for
that
tooling.
I was
Can
supposed
Unity
to
now
use
catch
to
up,
keep
or
things
will
consistent.
Unreal
That was my
continue
fault.
to dominate 2D?
So I
It's
guess we
well
Bugs
known
just
that
followed.
Unreal Engine is mostly
So that's
used
where I
for
went
3D
wrong.
games, and while they do have Paper 2D, a framework for making 2D games in Unreal that supports sprites and tile maps, it's definitely not their strong suit. Meanwhile, Unity was
Lathers
known for
asks,
being
would
the
it be
best
better to
engine
play
for
around
2D
with assets,
games
get the
for a
concept
while,
of your game
supporting
going,
tile
and then
maps,
switch
a
out the
robust 2D
assets with the
lighting
original
system,
art design?
the best 2D physics system,
I
and
think that can
scalability
work,
for
but
mobile platforms.
I think that's just
So
more
Unity
work, but
swoops in and is now
I'm not
tied
totally sure
with
that actually
Unreal
would work.
Engine. Now it's getting real. But
That's
before
something I'll
going
have to
into the
look
next
up.
category and deciding who's going to take the lead in this exciting competition, I have something really cool that will help you regardless of what engine you choose to help you on your game development journey. Milanote, yes, the sponsor of
More
this video,
Lather
who
said,
is helping me pay my lovely rent, is my preferred way for planning while making games, coming up with ideas, and even writing the script for this video. Milanote is the perfect visual tool for organizing any sort of creative project. It has boards where you can place anything from text to images to tables, and my favorite part are subboards, so I can get lost in the infinite loop of my mind's thoughts. My favorite part is that I can easily invite my friend to my board, and we can edit it in real time. But this usually ends up in a drawing competition. They have tons of templates that you can use to plan your projects, like this brainstorming one where you can post your big brain inspiration images to come up with the perfect levels for your game. Milanote has a great starting template for every step of the game development journey, or really any project you do. And once you've hashed out the idea, you can easily keep track of development milestones and your budget
More
all in
Lathers said,
Milanote.
heading to
There
bed.
are an infinite
Okay.
amount of
Unmute
use
it so you
cases
can
for
at
this
least get
tool.
some money
it's the
from
one
this
I
video
use
night.
for almost every project, and
Yeah,
I highly
oh.
recommend for any sort of creative project. You can sign up completely free with no subscription with the link down below. Animation is crucial for making your characters feel not only alive, but integrated with the world. And unfortunately, there is zero competition in this category. Unity has not worked on improving their animation system for a very long time. It's literally impossible to animate anything substantial in Unity. You have to buy a third-party asset just to make it bearable. Can you tell how much fun I've had with it? Now, to be fair, they do have a great procedural animation rigging package that lets you add inverse kinematics to your characters, which determines what bones and joints need to be bent to achieve a specific position animation or motion in the character. They're also working on a new animation system for Unity 6.1 and up, which seems to be a full rework of the UI to make it much easier to animate in the editor, along with a new hierarchical, I have no idea how to pronounce that word, hierarchical layered state machines, so you can get in the nitty-gritty of each specific animation for each specific body part. It will also be optimized for performance, so you can have thousands of animated characters running at full quality. But Unreal is like the god of animation. Their engine is designed for artists and movie producers to animate, and the release of 5.4 is where Unreal Engine brought the big guns. With a new in-editor animation and moving system, it's easier than ever to animate high-quality characters. They do this by using control rigs, which are those little circles and highlighted sections that you can interact with, making it super intuitive to change the rotation and positions of the bones in a way that you want. And you can easily transfer animations to any other character. They also updated animation layers in the 5.5 release with a way to create different animations on non-destructive layers for more added flexibility. Now, to be fair, Unity also had animation layers work non-destructively for some time now, but by far the biggest update, and I think the most amazing thing Unreal Engine has done, is their integration of motion matching, a next-gen framework that basically takes into account the player's location, input, movement, and current animation to automatically select the next best animation from a large database. They also included hundreds of animations for free. They use this in Fortnite and most AAA games to make the characters' movements feel natural. But something even more amazing happened after this was released. Tons of developers took the sample and added amazing features into it, making it one of the best AAA character starting projects to date. And they made it even better with the 5.5 release by adding more animations.
Why is there 41 of you guys?
Inverse kinematic, foot placement, sprinting,
There's 41
ledge
people
climbing,
watching.
and more.
What
They're
is there to
also
watch?
working on
I'm just
creating an identical
doing
animation moveset using
AnimeArt.
just state machines, which would make
Kinda
these
weird.
AAA
And
quality
none of you are
animations
like
extremely
liking. That's kind
efficient
of
for
weird.
smaller scale games.
It's not much to
Unity,
watch. I'm just
unfortunately, does not have any of
getting
these
work
features
done.
readily
That's all,
available.
yeah.
They were working on a similar motion matching
I know it sounds
project
kind of ridiculous
a
for
few
me
years
to
ago,
ask that
but
question, but
unfortunately
like, it's like
abandoned it. How odd.
if there's
So if you want to
41
include
people,
motion
I'm pretty
matching
sure
in
they
your
all should be
project, you have
talking,
to
right?
code it from scratch or
No,
buy yourself a
64.
third-party asset. So, physics.
I
Unreal
don't
Engine uses
understand
their
what's
own
happening.
system called Chaos Physics, a lightweight physics
Did I do something
simulator
right,
also
or
used
did I
in
do something
Fortnite,
wrong? I'm
which
not
features a
really sure.
destruction system, making it super easy to destroy
Not even
objects
drawing
and
like a big
environments, such as
puppy
breaking
woman
apart
right now,
objects,
so that's
simulating
usually what I would
debris,
expect,
and even
but
integrating
I'm
ragdoll
drawing
physics.
Sonic of
It
all
has support
things.
for multiplayer, vehicles,
Is this the Sonic
co-op, and
fandom
more.
in
They've also
low-key
recently
just
added a
in
new
here?
character
The
customization
hell?
framework that also handles dynamic clothing
Not even
swapping,
mad, I'm
even
just like,
tucking the pants inside of the boots.
it's kind of
Like,
weird.
what?
So many people
Meanwhile,
in here.
Unity actually has
Not really
several
up, no,
physics
it's up to
systems.
that. Usually
As
I just have
mentioned, their
2 or 3
built-in 2D
people
physics
just sitting
is
in
the
here.
best
Now
in the
it's like
market
79,
and has
80
tons of
people.
components. But if we're looking at
What
the
is
built-in
happening?
3D physics, they also have a super robust and lightweight system.
If you guys
that
enjoy
uses
what you're
physics.
seeing, I would
NVIDIA's
appreciate if you
open-source
guys
physics
like,
engine
I don't
that
know,
includes
follow.
support for collision joints
It really
and
would help
more.
me
It also
out,
has
but
support for
that's up
ragdolls,
to you.
but unfortunately their
I'm
destruction
not
system
officially
isn't
streaming,
as
so I'm not
automatic
gonna be
as
like making
Unreal,
Miguel
and
just
you'd be better
followed.
off purchasing an asset from the store. And while they do have a
Miguel just
high-quality
followed.
cloth and hair physics
Thank you for
system,
the
it's
follow.
available as a separate download
This
on
will.
GitHub.
I'm trying to get
You'd
this animatic
probably
done
be
by
better off
Saturday so I can
buying an
post it
asset
on
that has
TikTok
more
and
features and is easier
YouTube
to set
and
up. But with Unity 6, you get to choose between physics, Unity Physics,
Instagram,
which uses the
so on and
entity
so forth.
component system and is super performant for a lot of simulated
Hopefully I can
objects.
get it
It
in
would be a
time,
great pick for
so
a
the more
multiplayer
people
physics
follow, the
game
more I can
and
do stuff like
Havoc
this full
Physics for
time.
Unity Pro subscribers. I probably pronounced some stuff wrong
So
there. Just ignore it.
if you
Now,
like
there's
Sonic
several different
content or video
criteria
game
here that we
content,
can
which I will be
choose for
doing,
picking the winner. However, in terms of
follow.
features and ease of
appreciate it.
integration, I'm gonna have to give the
Also,
point to
I'm also on
Unreal.
YouTube,
Now you may be
so
thinking,
I'm streaming
okay,
to YouTube
I've
and
seen the
TikTok
numbers,
at the
Sam.
same exact
There's a
time.
clear winner here. However, there's a lot
If
that
you
goes
want
into
to check
making a
that
game.
out,
And just
you
because
can.
one
Link in
game
bio.
engine is better at
If
some
it even
stuff,
works,
doesn't
I'm
mean
not
it's
sure
the
it
perfect
works.
fit for all kinds of
Since
games
TikTok
or
is
even teams. And that's why it's super important to consider
So,
what kind of
if
game
you
want
wanna
to
see,
make
because like
before
if
just pointing fingers
I
and
get more
saying one
people,
is
I'm
better than
saying
the
I'll
other.
end up doing
There is a
animation
reason
in
why a lot
time.
of developers continue to use
Very
Unity
small
for their
animations,
projects.
if that's
But
something you guys
before we
want
make
to see
a
me
final
do.
decision, let's look at
I
other
appreciate you guys
differences
following me.
between Unreal Engine
At
5
least it
and
gives me an
Unity
indication
6
you care
that
enough
might be the deciding factor
to want to
for
follow
you.
and
VFX.
support. So
Unreal Engine uses Niagara, a next generation
I don't
system
know.
for visual effects. It lets artists create in-depth
Kinda
effects
have this
without the
weird
use of
rut
code,
where I don't
while
know
also
where I
having
am in
amazing
life
support
anymore.
for fluids
So,
and realistic smoke.
you want to
It's
help me
also
with that?
the only one of
Follow,
the two
I
that
guess,
supports VFX and movie
or
industry
something.
VDBs,
I don't know.
or volume databases, a file format that helps reduce memory while working with complex
Oh, just shut up
VFX
now.
simulations. While not exactly game ready, it does deliver the best volumetric effects you can get because it uses voxels instead
There
of
you
planes.
go.
Unity has a similar
It
VFX
feels kind of
graph where you can
consistent.
make
Wolf said I'm
effects
here.
without needing to code. They also have
Hello.
support for fluid animation and smoke, unfortunately
Hello,
non-interactable
Elite
though,
Wolf.
but
What's
they
going
actually
on over there
recently
on
introduced
YouTube?
a new
I hope
advanced
you're doing
six-way
well.
lighting system that lets you render smoke
Okay.
and dust super
Seems quite
efficiently
right.
without
Feels a
loss
little
of
more
quality.
consistent than
Unity
it was
also has a pretty
before.
cool feature add-on that
So
makes
we
use
have-
of sign distant fields to essentially
So we
replace
got
a 3D
1.
object with your visual effect. Now both engines have pretty good visual effects systems, and you can probably create one effect
I'll clean it
in
up.
either engine,
just needs
but
clean
I'll
up.
have to give the point to
I'll clean it up.
Unreal.
1.
Since their engine is
2,
very much geared towards
3.
artists, and they're
Okay,
constantly
so he's
providing
like-
AAA tools to help
Okay, so
them.
he
And they
asks
just
Sonic
recently
the
released a
question.
tool
He's
that
like,
added groundbreaking motion
he asks,
design
is like, whoa,
capabilities
Sonic,
to
how
the
you? I
engine,
didn't know you was
making it
that
easier
fast.
than
How
ever
did
to
you
make
do that?
commercial quality
It's so
graphics.
amazing. Blah blah
It's not
blah.
looking great for Unity
And
right
then
now,
Sonic's
so
like,
let's go over some other categories that might just
like-
give Unity the edge in this competition.
He's like, well,
Your
and
company
then
did
he gets
well,
kind of
so
choked
you
up,
hired more
and he's like,
people and brought in a bunch of new systems.
And he's like,
but
well,
at some point, you realized that you've created a monster.
he
Systems
can't really
stacked on
answer
top
it. He
of
doesn't
each
know
other.
how to answer this question, so he's like,
Unreal Engine
gets
has
kind of like
multiplayer built in by default, and they've
cocky-ish,
integrated a lot of
and then
tools
he's
they
like,
use in Fortnite into their
turns them,
multiplayer capabilities.
says, I'm
in
just
the
fast
engine.
because
Now,
I
to
am,
make
and you
use of
slow,
multiplayer,
or some
you
bullshit.
do have to compile Unreal from the source
and because
code
I'm
to
fast,
add
you're
in
slow.
the option, which is a bit annoying because once you
like,
compile
don't think that
the
you
engine
can
from scratch,
ever
it takes
surpass
a really
me,
long
kid,
time.
or
But
some
they do have
stupid
a solid system that's
So,
super easy
we'll
to
see
drag
where
and
that
drop and
goes.
just have
I know
it
it sounds
work.
kind of
However,
cringe to say that
while
outside,
Unreal
but
is known
like,
for
I'm
having
just
a
saying.
lot of great features that just work,
see.
Unity is known for having flexibility.
Alright, so,
into those
let's
features.
see,
Unity
1,
has a great
2,
multiplayer
3,
library
4.
called netcode for game objects that makes it super easy to integrate
then,
into
what
a
was the
project.
other
And
one?
they even have several samples, so it's easy
There
to
was
learn how
something
to
I
use.
had.
They also have a set of online tools called Unity
Okay,
Gaming
got that one.
Services that
And it was
actually
the
works
pointing
with both
one,
Unity
that
and
was it.
Unreal to integrate extra
It was
features
the
multiplayer
pointing one.
games might need, such as voice chat, moderation, monetization, analytics, and more. Games like Apex Legends, Among Us, Marvel Snap, and Valorant use Unity Gaming Services for some of their multiplayer features. In addition, for games that require more players and advanced multiplayer capabilities, they do have netcode for entities, which can theoretically support hundreds of
Okay, let's do
players.
this
So at
right,
point, we'll
because
have
I
to
was getting
go
annoyed
to
before,
Unity
but I
for
think
their
we can make this work.
flexibility and extra
So I'm gonna
multiplayer
grab his body.
services. Mobile. Now, Unreal Engine's focus has barely ever
this
been in the
body.
mobile space,
Put it
well,
about
except for that tiff with Apple.
here.
However, since they've ported Fortnite to
Right.
mobile, they've gradually
And then
added
what
more
we'll
features
do
for mobile
is-
development. And in their
MRP
5.5
said it
release,
looks
they
good or pretty
expanded
good.
on their mobile
Looks
toolkit,
alright.
Elite Wolf
helping
said I
more
am good, been
Unreal
leveling
Engine
up on a
games to
game of mine.
mobile.
I am
But
level
Unity is the
140
king
on.
or queen.
That's
we
cool.
don't discriminate here of mobile. That's
What's
been
the
one
game
of their
called?
focuses right from the beginning.
Yeah,
So
that looks
not
pretty
only do
good.
they have
It
an
just needs
easy way to
cleanup, but I'm
export
not
to
doing that just
cross-platform
yet, because that's
devices, but have a
actually the
full framework
easiest
for
part.
in-game
My cookie is
monetization,
canal.
user
Purple
acquisition,
heart.
and live
Said
ops,
hello.
which lets you
3.
add things like battle passes,
Hello.
loot boxes, daily rewards, events, and more. Unity snags this title easily with Unreal Engine. Can Unity catch up? Before this video ends, we have a few more juicy categories that can skew the decision in either way. User
Okay,
interfaces,
so what
or
we're
UI.
gonna do,
One of the
we're
most
going to,
underrated and overlooked yet important parts of
Elite Wolf
making
said
a video
game is called
making sure
Wildcraft.
the UI isn't
Wildcraft,
crap.
huh?
Having a good UI can be the difference
Bit of
between
a generic
positive
name,
and a
but
negative
hey,
review on Steam. And
nothing's
making
perfect,
them
I guess.
is not the funnest process.
so I'm gonna
To make
turn-
UI
I'm
in
gonna-
Unreal Engine 5, they do
Yes.
have a tool called UMG, or Unreal Motion Graphics. Not to be confused with their recent motion design release, which gets the job done, but it isn't great and kind of confusing for creating complex UI. Unfortunately, this is one of the pain points of Unreal. On the other hand, Unity has a very simple and expansive UI library, which can easily be used to create more complex systems. They've also implemented a
Bourbon
new
sauce
UI
said over
framework
Sonic.
called UI Toolkit, which takes inspiration from web development to construct UI with easy to understand code. Boom. Now Unity is tied with Unreal after winning the UI category. Now it's getting feisty. Let's see which engine takes the lead in the
Oh,
next
this will do.
category. Audio. Sound design is another crucial aspect to making a game feel alive. Bad sound design can make a horror game feel like a children's storybook. So having the latest advancements in sound, such as 3D positional sound, available in a game engine is imperative. And luckily, both engines support 3D positional audio. With Unreal Engine 5, they released a new system called Metasounds and Quartz. Metasounds is a high-performance audio system that allows complete control over sound sources, while Quartz brings timed audio events to the blueprints you know and love. On the other hand, Unity has what's called audio mixers, which lets you control each track individually and apply pre- and post-processing effects. They also have an integration with other audio middleware solutions such as Fmod and WWise. Unfortunately, Unity hasn't really continued their implementation to manipulate low-level audio like in Metasounds, so just by looking at the built-in features of audio in each engine, Unreal takes the win and snags the lead from Unity. Now, it's important to note that not all categories are weighted equally. In my opinion, Unity's flexibility should be worth 2 points because of how important that is to developers. But there is another one of these categories that skews the tally in the direction of the eventual winner. But before that, there are some side categories I'd like to mention that I think you might find useful. XR. While virtual and augmented reality has had its fair share of ups and downs over the past few years, it's still a super popular niche that attracts hundreds of thousands of players. Now, Unreal Engine 5 does have support for VR games and mixed reality experience, and makes use of its Nanite and Lumen capabilities to help increase rendering performance, which is an extremely important consideration for VR games. Now, Unity used to be the most popular choice for XR back in the day when it was less popular. So we can expect that nowadays they've kept up with the technology stack, so they do have support for VR, AR, and MR as well. They recently updated their XR toolkit for their Unity 6 release, adding foveated rendering support, which tracks the user's eye gaze and renders what they aren't looking at lesser quality to save performance, which I think is super cool. Unfortunately, Unreal has yet to add this feature to their official tooling. Now, you can make a VR game in either one, but for the most flexibility, especially if you want to publish a game on a standalone VR device like Meta Quest, Unity is likely to perform better, and XR has always been a main focus of theirs. Web. As attention spans get shorter and
some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first.
Who's ready for my famous charred duck?
Like, you know, to check the mascot first before bringing food to a tailgate. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
What should make the legs like?
There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself. It's the difference between being creative and being a creator. Between a homemade recipe and a household name. Between a daydream and a dream job. It's your business, your hard work. You do it yourself. Create your website on Wix.
people want easier way to play games that don't require downloading a software, web games provide a massive opportunity to reach a wider audience. Now, unfortunately, Unreal does not support web games
Elite
anymore.
Wolf said me and my girlfriend broke up a few days ago.
Software, which seems very expensive. The engine is simply focused on games that need more beefy hardware to run. On the opposing side, Unity is again the king, or queen, of web. They've always made it a priority to have support for WebGL, and even support WebGL 2.0 for more advanced graphics. But one of their coolest announcements for Unity 6 was the long-awaited support for Web GPU.
I had a different face for it, but where is it?
Take advantage of the player's
Did I
GPU
delete it?
to add multi-threading
The
to
Elite
web
Wolf
games,
said
expanding
partying
the
face emoji,
possibilities
partying
of
face
what's
emoji,
possible
partying
to
face
play
emoji.
without a download. So it's pretty obvious that Unity swipes the win in this category, pulling ahead of Unreal.
Okay, there you go.
AI. And by AI, I mean machine learning, which has taken the world by storm and can prove useful to a lot of game developers, professionals, and hobbyists alike.
I'll
While
just
Unreal
clean it up
Engine does
first.
not have a huge focus on machine learning or generative AI, they did recently announce their ML deformers to help animate complex characters, which is actually black magic or something because it's like insanely cool. Oops. They also have a sample available to download showing it off, and as mentioned, they added a new animation ability capability
this
that
is really
automatically
annoying.
adjusts the character's clothes
Oh,
depending on
God.
what you want to show, which is insane, but okay. For training a machine learning model within Unreal, they do luckily have a great package called Learning Agents, which lets you train AI characters so they can more realistically react to situations in the game world. Adversely, Unity has been pushing to add more AI tooling into the engine within the past few years. They have ML agents, which is similar to Unreal's learning agents, but they've definitely supported it for longer than Unreal, and most people would prefer to do reinforcement learning in Unity versus its competitor. Now, Unity did somewhat integrate their own version of cloth deformation into their recent Time Go cinematic, and while you can access the demo, it's not really ready for full use in a game.
Thank you
With
for
Unity 6, they also added full support for Centis, which lets you use existing machine learning models in Unity all offline, which creates a ton of possibilities for new and emergent gameplay. Unity has also been working on tools such as Muse, which is their suite of generative AI tools that include chat, texture, and sprite generation, and a new and pretty cool way to make AI animations from text and behavior, which creates behavior trees from simple text and input, which can be pretty useful because those can get complex quickly. I attended Unity's annual conference in Barcelona and didn't hear much about their AI plans, which was kind of a breath of fresh air because it was a large focus for their previous Unite, and you kind of get tired of it after a while. So in the battle of Terminators, Unity takes home the prize. Now, Unity's getting a pretty sizable lead, but I wouldn't call this over yet because there are some categories that can put Unreal in front of the competition. Performance. Now, this category is not about graphical performance, which Unreal would win as mentioned because of Nanite and Lumen, but more specifically talks about performance as having a lot, and I mean a lot, of objects or enemies on your screen, which both engines have specific packages designed to handle this that
The
use the
Sunnyside
entity
slider said
component
draw
system.
Sonic.
Unreal has their own version called Mass Entity, which allows you to have tens of thousands of realistic NPCs on the screen, while Unity has a tech stack called Dots, which also uses the entity component system, their burst compiler designed to speed up compilation, and the C# job system for multi-threading. It works for multiplayer and can be used to also speed up time-consuming calculations that might not require a lot of objects. In future versions of Unity, they plan on using the stack to speed up their internal engine speed even further. So because of Unity's huge support in improving this package and integrating it into their internal engine, they swipe another point. As the end of the competition is nearing, will Unity walk away with the grand prize? But I have an honorable mention category because there's just one feature that I think deserves its 1 point because it's just so revolutionary, and that's metahumans. It used to be difficult to get realistic characters in a game that not only looked good, but had a wide range of facial expressions, so you don't get that weird uncanny valley effect that most games have. But now anyone can create a realistic metahuman based on their own face, and
Machadi
even
Sun God
animate the
asks,
face
do you not
using
use
the phone.
hotkeys
Then
on
you
the
can
side
use
of
their
your
new
pad for
control
last
rig
line?
to easily animate the character all within Unreal Engine 5. And in the 5.5 release, they added an option to export metahumans with different qualities, so more games could use them efficiently. Unreal is constantly pushing the bounds of graphical fidelity and providing these amazing tools to developers of all types. So just for metahumans, they deserve an extra point. For the last two categories, we'll look more at the company itself.
Okay,
because an
that's
engine is
cleaned up a
only
little bit.
useful in the
Gotta
long
clean up the
term
arms a
if it
little
has
bit.
good management
I should
and
give them
standards,
hands,
frequency
but
and
I'll do that
quality of
last because that usually
updates. Now,
pays
it's
to the
no
pain in the
secret that
ass.
when Unreal Engine
will give 'em
delivers, they
hands.
deliver big. The
I will
announcement of
clean up.
Unreal Engine 5 with Nanite and Lumen shook the world, and every version update to date has been jam-packed with insane updates and new features that make your jaw drop. Even the roadmap for future features looks actually insane. It's obvious they prioritize stability, always looking to update and improve existing features and also integrate new features that would be helpful for developers. Meanwhile, Unity's been in kind of a rough patch, to say the least. For years, they've been struggling internally to provide meaningful features and updates, being plagued by chasing the next
now the
shiny thing like
eyes
blockchain, XR, and now AI, combined with debatable acquisitions and massive layoffs. Though to be fair, Unreal also had massive layoffs, and so did every other tech company. But because of this, developer dissatisfaction started to grow. So when they announced their notorious runtime fee, one of the worst ideas to ever exist in the realm of ideas, it went really bad. bad. Not to go into too much detail, but basically, developers now had to pay a flat fee when someone downloaded their game, which was ridiculous. People calculated that their whole company would go bankrupt because of this new policy. Studios and developers in mass boycotted the change, and Unity ended up losing a lot of valuable clients because of their rash decisions and miscommunication. Now, why am I mentioning all of this? Because it's important to understand the context of their next move, which might have turned the tides in their favor. In response, to try to recoup their favor with developers, they've sort of rebranded by getting a new CEO, replacing the previous higher-up management that had a hand in the runtime fee proposal, and starting to focus more on improving the core engine and making the developer experience better. Now, Unity 6 didn't really provide any outstanding features that would make it shine like Unreal Engine 5 did. However, plans for the future releases of Unity are showing that they are moving towards a better direction and focusing on the developers that power its lifeline. So I'd have to give this point to Unreal by a long shot, because Unity still has a long way to go to prove itself. Now for the final category, the one that will decide whether Unity or Unreal take the grand prize of being the best engine home. Pricing. Now both engines are completely free to use at the start. Unreal Engine 5 is free until you make over $1 million, and then they take 5% royalty. Heck, if I'm making $1 million, I don't really care about giving them their well-deserved 5%. However, this is if you're creating a game. If you're instead creating a movie, let's say, then after $1 million in revenue, you'll need to pay for a seat for every user on the team, which is currently priced at $1,850. Unity is also free to use, and since they removed the runtime fee, now after a certain revenue has been met, you have to purchase a subscription for every person on your team. You only need to start paying after $200,000 in revenue in a year, and after that, each seat, so each person would cost $2,200. If you're an enterprise making over $25 million a year, you have to purchase the enterprise license. Now, they have increased this enterprise license by 25% from the previous year, which I don't know exactly what amount that is, but most people won't need to worry about this tier anyways. So while Unreal is actually cheaper, Unity does provide some extra benefits when you upgrade to Pro, such as their accurate Havoc physics engine and access to experts that may make it worth upgrading even without hitting that threshold. Now, due to its simplicity and that whole runtime fee fiasco,
there's
that Unity went
135
through,
people in here.
Unreal
Why
claims
is there
victory in the
135
pricing
people in here and
category.
not
Now,
even in the
incredibly,
live?
both
Why
engines
is there so
are
many people in
tied.
here?
Does this
It's
mean
not
I
even
won't
that
declare a
serious.
winner and say something stupid like, oh,
It's
it
kind of
doesn't matter
weird.
what engine you choose, because it depends on what type of
Just
game
say
you
hi
make
or
or what
follow.
type of
You don't even have
team
to say
you
hi,
have.
just
And while
follow.
that is totally
It will
true,
help
and
me
I do
out,
agree with that, I'm not
honestly,
that
but
soft. So taking into consideration
it's
the
so weird.
weights
Like,
of
there's just
all
so
the
many
categories,
people.
the potential of the
Why are you
engine,
guys
the
watching?
management behind
If
it,
you are
its
real,
community,
if you're
and
real,
how
say hello.
groundbreaking its
Say
advancements
hello
have
if you're
been, I
real.
think you already know where I'm going with this. I declare
I just want to know if
Unreal
you guys are
Engine
actually
5
real.
the winner
Probably just a
of
bunch
this
of bots. I'm not
challenge.
sure.
Unfortunately, Unity has a lot of
SWRLTV
catching
said
up
hello.
to do. Godot is
Bourbon
speeding
Sauce
up in
said
their
hello,
2D
Guy
features,
Sensei.
and Unreal is
Hello.
leagues ahead in 3D. If they
See?
want to catch up, they're gonna have to go into
See,
overdrive
I don't
mode.
bite.
Also,
I'm
this
not
may be
mean.
kind of
Ube
awkward
Hinegra
after
said
announcing
Buo.
the winner, but
There
thank
you
you all
go.
for selecting me
Hello.
as the best Unity devlog content creator for this year.
See,
I
I don't
really
bite.
didn't expect that, but I really,
I just
really
want to know if you're
appreciate it.
real.
I'm so
That's
awkward.
it.
If you want to learn to make games,
don't
but you
know.
have no idea where to start, I have the perfect video for you.
Alright,
And
so
remember
I
to wish
got-
list my upcoming game made
I
in
don't like the
Unity
eyes. Look like
on
bug eyes.
Steam
Look like
with the
it's
link
weird.
down
Oh,
below.
I'm gonna
It's called Desktop Cat Cafe.
erase that.
Payroll accounting
Susop69 said
software
it's
helped
chili
put me
dog
on the
time.
right path. It's
chili
easy to
dogs.
find your numbers all in one place and get a clearer financial picture. So find the power in your numbers and open the right doors
Everyone else is too big,
with
so
zero.
I'll make it smaller.
Incoming dishes!
Dawn Power Wash fly.
Computer graphics is a solved problem. Okay, it's not done. That was just my hook for this video. I study comp sci. Okay, are we good now? Okay, I'm in a computer graphics class right now, and when it's not kicking my ass, I'm learning about the breakthroughs in core techniques in graphics, and they were developed a while back now. To illustrate this, here's each generation's PlayStation. Notice how the graphics improvement lessens every time. That's not to say they're not good, just look at this comparison of GTA 6 in real life. There's so many games now
Just
that
take
look
away the
amazing,
mouth.
yet
I don't
have
know,
the
something
same
about
gritty,
the
ultra-realistic
face is
look.
just, you know.
And after a while, or when putting things side by side, this makes video
I'm gonna
games
need
seem
some
kind of
reference right
boring.
here. Just keep things in check. Cause it's like, it's throwing me off a little bit.
Okay, let's take a quick detour into 19th century art history. Every programmer's favorite topic, I know, I'm sorry. But hey, as the kids say, let me cook. The dominant art style at this time was realism, depicting natural people and natural scenes in realistic ways. People had been perfecting art for centuries now. Art then was like computer graphics now, a solved problem. There were rules taught in art schools. Draw people realistically with these proportions because this is anatomy. The field of computer graphics seems to be even more strict. This is a lighting equation. Stick with this because this is physics. These rules combined with trying to compete against this radical new invention called the camera led to the movement of Impressionism, a re-evaluation of how one depicts light. Painters like Claude Monet used a completely different technique when painting scenes. They also took advantage of new advances in paints to provide strong, vibrant colors. The goal wasn't to depict a scene, it was to leave an impression. And that's the sentiment behind a project I made for my computer graphics class. We've been learning how to make things realistic, learning about tessellation, shadows, ray tracing, anti-aliasing, and refraction. So what if we take these lighting rules and twist them a little bit just to make something a little cooler? Just like Monet did. Hold up, you might ask. Did you just compare your college project to one of the most influential artists in history? Who even are you to do that? My name is Clarence, and I'm with my group partners, Ihui and Keiji, and we're gonna bend the rules a little bit. Hey, don't worry, we're not even the first ones. Games like Legend of Zelda and Hi-Fi Rush do this stuff too. Anyway, our engine of choice is Unity. For the last 10 to 15 years, Unity has been working on perfecting their physically based rendering model to make it as realistic as possible, encouraging developers to work and develop realistic-looking materials. We're gonna thank them by throwing it all out the window to work against their engine and make a simulator/game with multiple different art styles. So, what's on the menu? As we said earlier, Legend of Zelda has an iconic cell or toon shading style. Okay, let's put some more stuff on the plate. Into the Spider-Verse has a cool comic half-tone shading effect, so we'll try to get something like that too. We can do more than shaders. Both comic and toon shaders are completed by the outline. Let's do that too. And also give these lines an
fighting to stay awake to keep watch this amazing drawing.
Really? Oh, bad. It's fine, that's serious.
And of course, it's Unity. We need to wrap it all into an
oh,
interactive
you're struggling trying to keep this consistent for the video.
Now, did any of us have a Unity experience?
You should get some sleep.
No,
don't ruin your life like I did.
No.
Ruin your sleep.
First things first, we had to learn how to use this program. There's no point in thinking about cool shaders and post-processing effects if you don't know how to put an object in the scene.
Said, I swear this is
It took some trials and tribulations, but eventually we figured out how to create a character controller and get into the main game. Keiji created the main user interaction script so users could move and jump around the area, and added collision logic so you wouldn't just walk through everything in the scene. With that as our base, we got to creating an interactive environment to play around in. At the same time, we also worked on creating different shaders and post-processing features that we could use for our materials. Our vision is to divide the area into differently styled zones that you can walk around in. We were going to make a shooting game out of this, but that's just kind of a lot to do. To the devs of Call of Duty, we are coming for you, just not right now. Up next, we have... I'll talk about shaders first. You might have heard of them from Minecraft. Shaders directly tell the GPU what to do. While Unity does take pure shader files as input, and we do write some shaders ourselves, it helps us see what's going on when trying to create a style. Adrian_Elf_. To do this, we use Unity's shader graphs. You use the same concept of calculating like the lighting equations, but now
if you guys like what you see, I really appreciate it if you follow me. It will help me out.
Now,
if you want to see more Sonic-type content like this, and it becomes an animatic or an animation,
with the basics and walk through grabbing diffuse lighting as we still need to calculate it.
I don't think you'd be disappointed.
You can think of the shader graph as acting on one object. Therefore, the normal vector node represents the arrows that point out from an object. So given a main light direction from the scene, like the sun, we can use it to calculate where the shadows will be by taking the dot product of the normal vectors and the light direction, and bam, there's your diffuse. This might seem easy compared to putting everything in C++, but the difficulty comes from customizing and stylizing the shaders. How do you want to change these shaders? What parts of this math do you need to change to achieve certain effects? I'll break down a few points in our halftone shading pipeline to demonstrate. To make a long story short, we decided to visualize halftone as putting more dots when there were more shadows. But we also want to customize how big that shadow region is. We can pass in threshold parameters to do so, but where would they go? To do this, we would...
And yes, I do have a Discord you want to check out.
Adjusting it to fit within a new defined range that we can customize with
question, but wondering that, but yes, there's a Discord link in bio if you can reuse it. I'm not sure you can.
Alright, I don't want to take too long, so let's jump to post-processing. As we talked about before, we want to give our items an outline. Our earlier solution was to add an additional shader material to every object to make it bigger, hollow, and turn it black so it looked like an outline. But that's actually kind of dumb and janky. Instead, we handle this in our post-processing step, which allows us a lot more customization and is less hacky. We use a Sobel filter for edge detection in this fun little shader file. Sobel filters
Why
essentially
can't close
detect
his
changes in
eyes?
the x and y axes. A large change means an
here.
edge. Note that there are different
There
functions
must
in
be
this file.
something like that.
Each of them
right?
calculates a Sobel value for depth, color, normals,
How
and
do I
texture
see his
information.
eyes closed?
We take all this information and track changes in each of them and
Are her
aggregate
eyes just
them
like
to detect an edge. And boom, we have edges.
okay?
We also set up ways to weigh each differently and
Oh.
customize their look.
Bird
The lines are a
said
little
he
too
looks
straight
really
to be
peaceful when
hand-drawn,
his
so we
eyes are
will
closed.
customize that. We simply have to add some noise and a little wiggle, and okay, that's a weird acid trip. Let's tone it down a little bit, and there, we have hand-drawn lines.
said you should look up over
I
Sonic.
don't want to make this video too long and boring, and also it's 5 a.m., it's due soon, I need to get this video out. Some of the last parts we did was creating a cool retro dither to give a pixelated retro feel.
So
And since these are
when the eye is
post-processing effects, we
closed,
inject it directly into
Birdman
Unity's
said I
universal
think that's
rendering
what they
pipeline.
used for reference.
It's actually pretty easy to toggle things on and off. In the future, we'd love to create
it
all these
does
styles as
touch.
post-processing features and activate them with in-game triggers, like collisions with objects or when picking up an item.
That's how it works.
But you're gonna have to live with button presses for now.
It's so
Just like how
weird
you
now
can press the
looking at it
subscribe
because
button
I'm
if
now
you feel
paying
like this
attention to his
video.
eyelids. I never see much.
But
I
really,
don't really pay
this was
attention
a fun
to
project
closed.
to do, and a really fun video to make, and I
Kinda
want to know if I
weird
should make more
now.
like this. I don't know how well we did on the project, by the way. We presented just
His
yesterday.
eyes are
Everyone
closed
else in
now.
the class had some crazy realistic physics in their projects, like building cloth and water simulations from scratch. I saw flight and environment loading simulations, and here was us with our little comic
It's a
book
lot
playground.
cleaner than he was before, so that's
But it
good.
doesn't matter, I guess. All the problems of simulating realistic
But
physics
now
have
what
been
we're gonna
solved already.
do,
And what
we have to
excites me
fix the
more than
feet
those
and everything.
solutions is the possibilities those
So
solutions
it's
create.
one thing next
I'm not
week.
that great at computer graphics or at linear algebra.
Okay.
I just learned enough to know that I could do something I find cool, and I did, so that's good enough for me. Thanks for watching.
Trying to catch your breath? Because I see you hopping between softwares all day instead of using Connect Team, the all-in-one platform to manage your employees. I'm talking about live scheduling, time tracking, and digital forms that help you stay in control. Use instant team updates and personal or group chats to communicate easily and effectively. So stop spreading your business across apps, whiteboards, binders, platforms. It's exhausting, it's expensive, and
Neon just
honestly,
followed.
it's unnecessary. Join thousands of businesses that simplified employee management, cut costs in basically half, and got back the time to focus on what matters most. Start your free trial now at
Sonic
connectteam.com.
now. All the times I draw Sonic like one off, they usually look really great because I'm only dealing with like one pose. We're trying to keep it consistent amongst for the animation, the animatic. It's kind of funny. Now looking at it, let's see here. The nose, nose, so it doesn't really touch. So put it like this. There we go. And then like that. Okay, that's fine for now. So we went from here, so it looks like this, to this. A lot more consistent, a little more detail, but like this one, and this one. Did I clean this one? Yeah, I think I cleaned it a little bit. Keeps changing. I don't think it actually has to be like all the way consistent. This is just an animatic. So I'll clean this up again. So I'll do the insides first. That'll be better. It's a thinner brush. Gotta be more cleaner than that. There we go. Okay. Thin strokes makes more of a difference. We don't want to make it thick strokes. We do this thick lining outside of the work. We do not want it to, we don't want it to we have to turn off pressure sensitivity. Okay, that's a little better. Oh, some thinned out. A little bit more thickness here. Show some form of shadow. Clean it up. Nice and clean. Keep it like that. Okay, then go to the like the nose, like so. There we go. Looks how more cleaner that looks. I'm gonna clean up a little more, erase a little of the edges here. I should change my brush and my drawing brush. I always use this too much. I should use this as my sketch brush and then use another brush or pencil for a lot more consistency. I think that's be best. There we go. Looks a lot cleaner. See how much cleaner the line looks? So the point is trying to make it as thin as possible without losing quality. You don't want to lose any quality. That makes it look all nice and pleasing to the eye. I don't think I'm going to color this at all. I think I'm going to keep it 100% transparent for this animatic, just to save time. Like that. To the upper half of the body. Okay.
Bitcoin's. Meantime, another 52-week high.
No, not that.
Explaining away what it is, what it isn't, what I would call the bungling of the marketing around it, how all the trailers don't match up with what this actually is, how they keep calling it early access, but it's not, it's advanced access, and people are review bombing it because honestly they don't understand what this game is, but that's not their fault because to go circular, Bandai Namco, I really think have bungled the marketing on this. And look, maybe we can get into those finer points, but I don't want that to clog up the core, which is to say, this game is really good. I really, really love it, and I'm going to break down at, let's say, basic Baby's First extraction shooter type level, and I'm going to tell you what this is because it's so unusual, and then hopefully we can work through it from there. But yes, I think this is excellent if you're the target audience, and the hope is maybe I can help you find this game if you clicked on it and you don't know what the fuck's going on. Quick bit of channel business. Traditionally, I've done overviews in that I do 2 hours a game. If you've been around the channel for a while, that's what you're probably used to. In the new year, I'm calling this an overview, but I've played it for 18 hours at the time of this recording because that's the average time it takes to beat a game. If I do get a credits roll, I'll do a follow-up video in the future and call it a review, though it is a bit more live service. It is an extraction shooter. Like, is there an end to Tarkov? Who can say? But for all intents and purposes, this is a review, right? I've put a shitload of hours into it. And under this format, I'm going to cover 100 games a year. I'm going to rank them all basically 1 to 100. So we're calling this 99%. But just know that while I do think this is excellent, at the moment, the rating, we're still filling it out. Stay with me for a few months. It will start to bear fruit. But all it really means is it's not as good as Death Stranding, which is a bit of an unfairly high bracket. Okay, so, Synduality. This is an extraction shooter, but it's an extraction shooter in the sense of what I would call the original, the OG.
This may look like your favorite childhood crispy treat, but with 12 grams protein and only 1 gram of sugar, it's actually your new favorite protein bar. Magic Spoon Treats. Find us at magicspoon.com or at a store near you.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
The proto extraction shooter. I don't necessarily want to get off topic immediately, but understand that extraction shooters, when they first started to come on the scene, and I'm talking about, Gamescom showing off Hunt Showdown, super ultra early indie access to Tarkov before it became very popular. Honestly, extraction shooters were more of like the Division in a way. There was something to them that was a little less, how to say it, bloodthirsty PvP, hey chat clip that, headshot monsters. And that's kind of what Tarkov and Hunt Showdown, for example, turned into. In fact, actually, if you know of this game, the Cycle, which was killed in the crypt, doesn't exist anymore. They shut down all the servers. This reminds me most closely of that. Now, that might be enough for you to just drop everything and go buy it, actually. Because if you were like me and you were on board day one with the Cycle, it was the biggest tragedy when the team decided to start fucking with the core game and they turned it into generic slop, and funnily enough, everyone stopped playing it. But the original vision was this more PvE, collaborative, yes, PvP is there, but it's more there as a looming threat. Don't necessarily
Apple
trust
user
everyone. But how do you police that?
said,
well,
what app is
actually,
this?
maybe we jump ahead to that, because that might be people's biggest concerns. The PvP in this is policed by one of the best social contracts that I've ever seen in any game ever, and I can't wait to talk about it. And honestly, is what holds this game together. Look, let's just go to basics. I keep saying extraction shooter. My target audience are normies just like me. What is that? Essentially, it's this idea of sort of doing runs with your character, but it is full loot, right? So as much as, whatever you can carry out, you get to keep. If you die in the zone, in the run, that shit's gone. Someone else can take it, right? Pretty brutal, pretty harsh, but there are things like insurance systems, which the insurance in this is probably the most reasonable one that I've seen. It's just a straight payout. You pay 10% of the value, which is quite steep actually, and obviously adds up after a bit. But 24 hours after losing your gear, they'll just mail you a check for everything that you lost. So there's a risk-reward thing. And it works better than most insurance, in these sort of games does work, because I found myself kind of hedging my bets. Maybe I don't need insurance this run. Spoiler, I probably did. But it's not always necessarily a foregone conclusion. It's something that you negotiate with yourself about. But essentially, you go into this world in your little mech warrior, you fit it out, it's got different spots, like body, arms, and legs. You get set bonuses, that sort of thing. Couple of weapons. You've got a drill for extracting crystals. That's kind of the core economy. And then you've got your Magus, which is your sort of companion bloody sex doll throw pillow thing that sits in the backpack of your car. There's so much that I'm throwing at you, and I'm trying to keep a thread that doesn't scare people off. So let's just stay with the core loot. So I mentioned the crystals. You basically go out.
That's not the best description that he used.
Open map. It's
Okay,
multiple
we'll go
kilometers across, and it's got all these microbiomes throughout. It's very vibrant colors. It's beautiful, right? There's monsters all over
Okay, now
the place.
the problem with this
You've
is
got
that
to
we
learn
need
their
to
movesets.
fix
You've got to
the
learn how to
socks.
interact with them with your
Or
weapons. It's
is
very
it socks
high
the socks?
lethality.
I guess the
right?
socks
Just the
itself.
basic bitch monsters.
It's
If they
too
land a
wide
hit,
open,
they'll
in my
take off a
opinion.
third of your health bar,
Maybe
probably,
needs to be a little bit
depending
more
on their
closer.
rarity. If they're a
It's kinda
rarity up,
awkward.
they'll probably take
Where
about
the
7/8
the
of your
leg
health
is, so
bar.
we're gonna
You
fix
will
that.
die. It's okay. You'll get used to it. The runs are punchy. It's not like, and again, I'm not trying to throw shots at Tarkov, but that has become so hardcore about the fiddling around in your backpack. That's a big part why I don't like to play it. That you have to spend half an hour making a kit to do a run again. This is a bit more, well, dumbed down, if you like, if that makes you feel a bit better about it. It's a lot more accessible. Dare I say, baby's first extraction shooter. So you go out into these wilds,
said,
you've got like a little
closer.
scanner because you're talking to your AI sex bot in the back, and she's giving you bloody hints and that sort of stuff, but essentially she can scan for nearby crystal locations. You'll head out, they might have a few monsters around them, kill the monsters, drill the crystal, it'll drop this valuable stuff. You put them in your backpack, you manage your weight, ultimately you go to one of the exits that are randomly marked on the map and extract out. The crystals are pretty much just straight value exchange. It creates a really interesting dynamic you don't see in extraction shooters, because the other side of why you're doing runs is to fulfill requests, missions, and ultimately gather up bits and pieces of crafting materials to build out your base back home. Now we've seen that in Tarkov, that's the same thing here. Maybe it's tedious to some. Honestly, I've enjoyed watching my base go from this overgrown shithole into slightly less depressing bachelor pad. Gives me hope for my own home. So if you want to look from the loot-centric, the motivation end of it, you're probably running for crystals, or you're running for some mixture of mission objectives or items that you want to bring back to craft things up. Now, it's worth taking a moment to talk about the item thing, in that this has a wish list system that works outrageously well. In that, how to say, it's so many layered mechanics, and I just have to try and tie the threads together.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check your school's saying first before saying it.
High tide! High tide!
It's roll tide.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
I think that's probably why I hate using this brush, because whenever I make adjustments and erase, it always looks so dirty. It is a crayon. It's my fault, but I'm too addicted using it too much, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the monkey brain in me telling me
Your,
what's her
your
brain
bimbo
thing
girlfriend
going on.
in the back is kind of like a bit of a Google AI in a way, right? So let's say you pull up your map and you go to the listed objective, which would be a wish list thing. Maybe I want bloody power chords, right? She's gonna go, oh, I can't help you there, man. Probably doesn't speak like a bogan. They should make a bogan waifu. Magus, that's what they're calling. And she'll be like, I don't know. But if you cruise around the open world, she will scan and flag these items in your vicinity. And it's a fairly large area. And, I mean, she'll pick it up if it's in a bloody chest, right? She'll go, hey, that's an item that you need over there for this objective. So you go over and you pick it up and you put it in your backpack. So it's very, very friendly and helpful. Now check this out. In future runs, I want power chords. You look it up on the map. She'll go, hey, here's a highlighted area. I'm using my hands on the map. This is where we found power chords before. Maybe check that out. So she starts to remember and log, you know, loot hotspots. And you get to a point where you're wishlist juggling 20 different things at a time, you know, and you'll have all these different little helpers, and she does help out and start to make a sort of mental map for you on your behalf of where these things are. And you mix that with the fact that anything that's marked on your wish list gets auto-flagged when you're near it, and it addresses like the biggest problems with these kind of loot fiddling around the mud trying to find bloody pieces of scrap metal.
Better.
So it's really addicting and fun, and it's probably something you've never experienced before, especially if you've never played an extraction shooter. This does it better than anyone. And on the back of her doing that, if you extract, when you extract, there's a little recorded top-down debrief, and it goes through and it tracks you, basically moving around. You can see other players that you've been dancing with and fighting with, or avoiding and standing off, and it will do it blow by blow. Hey, we fought these guys, hadn't fought them before. Oh, we found this unusual item. I'll make a note of that. It's all very cool, and it makes you feel kind of invested in your little sidekick Sheila or dude or whatever. The combat is fine. It's serviceable. I quite like it. Essentially, you know, your locomotion is zipping around with a sprint button, some jumps, and sort of a side dash. It works really well, and you try not to overheat your sprint bar because that will spell danger. As you get more equipment load, essentially your sprint's going to run out quicker. But when you get into fights with other players or bandits, they're sort of like AI robots as well, and they are no joke, especially the bandit boss. Holy shit, I've killed one of them and I got a $100,000 reward. My god, it's almost not worth it. But yeah, the locomotion, the combat, the interplay, it works really well. Like sniper rifles are in it, and I've started to get the hang of them, but the projectile's very slow. The shuttering on the scope is very narrow as well. Like, it is intentionally quite difficult to use. But I like it. I enjoy all the different weapons and all the aspects of it. We mentioned PvP. PvP is the things that people are scared of and thinking about the most. Okay, so in this world's fiction, you're part of a federation. I can't remember what it's called. But essentially, it's, a card-carrying bloody Rotary Club, of drifters, which is what you are, who are all having a handshake agreement not to shoot each other in the fucking face. And so you'll go in, and it's very busy. There's a lot of traffic. I'd be curious when it actually goes into full release, what sort of foot traffic's in there. But you can bump into people and you emote and you wave at them and that sort of stuff, and it is all very cordial and well behaved. Now, this is because the game goes to great lengths to warn you will be expelled if you fucking start shooting people, if you start breaking the contract. You get kicked out. You won't be able to do missions. You won't be able to get to the shop. Now, do we know if this is true? Yes, because I decided to be the other wolf and go down the dark side to see. Bugger it, I'm reviewing it. I might as well find out. Didn't take long. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not someone who ganks newbies for fun or anything like that, and I felt it's particularly evil the first dude that I jumped, because he happened to be doing a mission where you had to transport bloody 60 health kits to this location, and I must have killed him about 10 feet away from it. Apologies, random dude. It was never personal. But here's the thing. If you can shoot on sight, and you can, these guys panic and shit themselves because they're not expecting it, because why would they? And, I've traumatized them and made them refund the game probably. But they will warn you in the debrief that your rating has dropped. I believe it drops in the match as well. So you go from good standing, and by the way, when your chatty Cathy in the back of the car sees other dudes, they will say, "Hey, there's another drifter over there, and he's in good standing." Like, she'll basically flag that straight away. And you very rarely find someone who's not in good standing in the map. So that's what I jumped to as soon as I shot that dude. I went from white to yellow. Now, as best as I understand it, if you're a white card carrier and you see someone in yellow standing, you get basically full carte blanche. You can shoot this dude on sight and you won't get in any trouble at all. So that's sort of the risk. It's a semi-PvP flag in a way. And I think I must have jumped one more dude after that, and then they ejected me. It might have been 2, right? So we're saying probably 2 or 3 dudes killed.
I weirdly wonder what you think of RC.
I'd run out of lifeline. Now, I believe there would have been a way back if you just sort of laid off the gas and gave it a couple of turns. But again, you'd have to do runs as a yellow flagged, poor standing dude. So in order to get back in good graces, maybe you accidentally mag dumped on someone because you were panicking or something, who knows, right? You still have to behave yourself, but you're also at the mercy of people wanting to attack you on the spot and kill you. So it's actually quite punishing, so don't shoot people, basically. Even if you fire near dudes, the chick will warn you, don't shoot near bloody members. Anyway, so I got sacked, and they sent me to essentially a mirror universe, right? You still got your base. You have a black market shop. It sells different items, different weapon types, that sort of thing. But you kind of have mirror missions. There's a whole story arc there working for an underground family going along kind of in parallel, but at first blush, it kind of looked like it's just a copy-paste of the other side. The interesting thing is that because you can't be trusted to play well with players, they put you in the leavers queue or whatever. Actually, that's a great way of putting it. If you're not aware of it, if you play things like, maybe Marvel Rivals has it, but Overwatch definitely had it. If you keep disconnecting and, being a shit person in the community, they will actually start queuing you with other shit people, right? And your miserable experience now gets to be shared with all the other misery gutses, right? So essentially, you're the problem child and you get put in the different ball pit with the different kids. And that's what happens in this if you go into the PvP mode. You get sacked from the association, you're in the black market thing, and this is where the PvP sweat lords are. It's a different map. It's a wonderful map. It's a bit smaller, and I didn't get much of the time to look at it because I don't want to live in that world. I just went there to see. But essentially, it is terrifying. It's a very different breed of character. You can see in the replay, everyone's sitting in ambush. It is just kill on sight, fucking madhouse lawlessness, and it's unpleasant, and it's a bit of a death spiral as well. Now, maybe you want to be in there PvPing, that's fine, but the real beauty of it is that the dude, the predator, the scumbag, the reason that you're worried about it, you, dear viewer, that maybe is getting excited about this, but you're worried about the PvP.
Oh, the way this guy's explaining it, I'm getting really interested in this game. I kind of want to play it on stream now, but then again, I was like, I'm paying money to buy this. This game sounds very interesting. I might give it a try. It sounds fun. I don't know. It's so different. That's an interesting game. I might buy it from Steam. That sounds fun. Clean up, clean up, clean up, clean up. Clean up. There we go. There you go. I think the hand looks pretty good. It looks alright. What do you guys think? I think it's good. I gave him a mitten. I didn't try putting any real hands on him. I just gave him a mitten. I don't think no one will mind if I gave him a mitten too much for now. I'll probably give him hands and fingers later, but I think the mitten is not that problematic right now. I don't think anyone's gonna lose their fucking mind over him having some mitten hands for now. I don't think so. I think we're safe. I think the Sonic fandom will forgive me for
handshake
this one.
agrees that they shoot on sight. Like, that's Tarkov. That's what it is. That's fine. You're worried about that scumbag that's going to wave at you, and then when you turn around, shoot you in the back of the head, like exactly what I did to someone, right? You don't want that dude in your lobby, and that dude, like I said, from personal experience, after doing that 2 or maybe 3 times, he's going to get put in the bloodthirsty lobby, and he's probably never going to get out of it either. Because the only way out of there is to pay a bribe related to your bounty, and you need to pay that to an official, and it's very expensive. And fortunately, I had a shitload of gear saved up, so I just sold everything to buy my way back into the organization. It's one of those things. If you are one of those scummers that preys on people, you're going to get booted in with the hardcore people. They're going to farm you, and your bounty's probably going to get higher and higher, and you're never going to be able to afford to get out of the pit. It's excellent. And
I actually like that. That's really cool.
It
is a mech game?
The game warning you.
I don't know.
Most people do.
I'm
99%.
getting more
I think I
interested
only
in
got
this.
attacked in white status once, and then there was my experiment that I did. But I tell you what,
I'll give this game a try.
going over the other side and coming back, I'm reformed and on my best behaviour for all time. So yes, it bore talking about that because I think it's excellent, and I'd love to see this implemented in other games. And the end result is 99% of the time, it was all waving and friendly, and it created a very different environment. It felt like The Division in a way, where you bump into other players out in the world. Except in that game, you couldn't kill it, like you're not in the dark zone, and yet here you can. But everyone abides by the social contract. In fact, you unlock the ability to team up with other people, and it will give you co-op missions. And I teamed up some random dude, and then we found another bloke on the way to the mission, and we brought him in. So us 3 waifus went off to fight fucking monsters in the center of the map, and it gives you special rewards.
You said us 3 waifus. This is an interesting game.
If you weren't playing well with others and co-oping. Anyway, yeah, look, I think we talked about, gameplay, core loop, extraction mechanics. It probably bears talking about the Magus as well, which is your companion bot, which, it's less sexual. You can dress it up and put makeup on it, and it cleans your house for you and all that. But it's more tragic, to be honest. I mean, I'm not judging, right? Video games are a vice in and of themselves. If you get something from it, go for it. But this is less of a sex doll and more of a friend because you're lonely. It just reads as a bit sad for me. Sad state of the world, I guess. But essentially, yeah, you've got your Magus. When she's an info, Siri machine, that's when I love her. That's great. But
shadows
yeah,
here to give it
dress
more,
her up in costumes.
and then to give it the more of the glove look. What we need to do is put lining on the side
it's
So I'm gonna put a line
Ever
in
wanted to
here.
be a ninja with a gun,
said
an
neither.
arcane track star, or become naked?
Hello.
You can do all that and more in Project Ascension, a
Oh, night art,
standalone
okay.
free-to-play
Hey,
private server where you forge
Bendova?
your
Bendova?
own epic.
all cosmetic, dress up your Barbie doll crap, which means I don't care, and I think it's probably a smart move. I think putting it in there full stop's not a great idea, but the kind of whales that this game's going to attract are probably the ones that are going to buy new fucking eyeliner for their lady thing. So that's fine. I don't really find that offensive, but it's not like pay to win or anything like that. It's pay to masturbate. But I'll tell you something funny as well. So when you die in this game, when you're really low health and you're about to die, you can eject. You hold down 1, 2, 3 and eject, right? And that's it. You get your throw pillow out, you bail out. They get all your gear, that's fine. But then I thought,
No,
I wonder what happens when you don't eject. In fact, when I was in PvP world, I got jumped point blank from behind by a dude, and I'd seen other cars blow up when they didn't eject, and I thought, fuck this dude, maybe I don't eject. Maybe I just let my thing detonate and blow up all the gear. That's exactly
do the other
what
hand.
happened. And it turns out that he can loot my Magus because I didn't eject her, so I accidentally left my throw pillow in the wreckage. So while he didn't get any of my sweet gear, probably wasn't that great, he did get my waifu, who then got ransomed back to me. And when she rocked up, she had her head bashed in. She's all dirty and messy and frazzled, and she's had her hair cut to pixie length, and it's like, what have you been doing to my lady robot, Mom?
Oh my god, are you serious? Is that really what happens? Oh my god. I don't know how I feel with that. So let me get this straight. So how the game plays is like pretty much a mech game of resources. You run into someone, you eject from accident, or he ejected out of pure panic. And because he didn't eject properly, he left his AI waifu in the cockpit. So when he left his AI cockpit companion in the dude took her alongside his, and then he put a ransom on the AI robot that's supposed to be your assistant. You pay the ransom in the game, and she comes back all battered and beaten up and hair's cut. Bro, what? I don't know if I don't know. Oh shit, don't get Twitter on this shit. No, I don't know. I want to play this game, but that concept right there.
BENDOVA said, what's the power of your glasses lens?
Wait, what? What's the power of my... What? I'm not sure what you're asking. I don't know, that's crazy. I don't know. How much is this game? I'm gonna actually say how much is it. I kinda wanna play it now. Oh, I kinda wanna play it. Seems really interesting. Kind of gave like a Monster Hunter kind of vibe. I don't know why. I don't know why though. It's weird. Alright, let's see.
And so it's wild, and
I don't like that.
funny, like, again, I try not to be judgmental, but these dudes that are gonna wail and put money and kind of personal investment into these lady dolls in their backpack, that's probably a big incentive not to go to PvP world, or not, or to make sure you eject from your car and don't risk it, because otherwise these blokes are gonna steal your Sheila and, beat her with a stick or something.
Oh
God, I
god.
shouldn't say that.
BENDOVA said, really face orange raised eyebrow.
Bro, I know for a fact, we all know what they're really I know what he's implying here, and it's not even all that. You can figure out what he's trying to say here based on when they come back and how they look. When they get all beat up and battered, what they're applying on this, but Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I'm interested in playing the game, but like that concept right there might give people the wrong idea completely. It's not even the domestic abuse part that makes it uh problematic. It's the connotation that comes with it. Well, it's like at least they come back clothed, right? They come back clothed. If they didn't come back clothed, then does that make it better? I don't know. I think that ultimately may probably make it just as worse, I think.
But look, broadly speaking, I would say I've really enjoyed my time with it. I've loved it, in fact. Again, some weird stuff going on around the release. If you've made it this far, you might find this interesting. So, yeah, I went to the main Bandai Namco channels and looked at it, and they've got multiple trailers, and they're all doing sort of like single-player cutscene stuff, which is barely in this. There is a story, but it's kind of tucked away in hidden audio logs. Or not really hidden, but they're put in a codex in a way. And it's interesting. There's a whole timeline that you can go through and look it up.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that with Lethal Company. They kind of do that. They're trying to try to tell you some form of story. There's some form of story on Lethal Company. I don't know what the fuck this story is, because every update kind of does this thing where it's trying to convey something to you. But
Angel just followed.
It's weird because it's like it doesn't really convey anything. It's trying to tell you something, but it doesn't tell you nothing. That's the weirdest part. I don't get that part. Like it's weird. I guess that's supposed to hold interest, but that can hold so much interest when you don't know what the fuck is going on. Even like something like Five Nights at Freddy's, they eventually have to give some form of secrets or spoilers away or something to keep fans invested. But I don't know. I know that everyone wants that what do you call it? Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy's mysterious fandom into that type of lore shit, but once something is executed once, well, it can't be really recreated again. It's just copycatted at a certain degree. So it's kind of weird because I'm like, I see what they're trying to do because it does have horror elements in the game and all that stuff, but you gotta give some form of context because it's not really helping me unless you just go on the internet and just type in what is the lore behind Lethal Company to a certain degree, and then you might get something. But I don't know. Sometimes I understand being very vague, and subtlety tends to build interest, but that can go so far when you do it too much. Then it just becomes you're just blue balling people at this point. So I can't say that it's good or bad. It's just, I think when you use ability too much, you just look like a spammer. If you get my drift. So yeah, I get it, but because they do that in Lethal Company, they do that with updates, and they do it with those stupid, I don't know what they call them, little pre-recordings or something you find in certain worlds, in certain areas and worlds. And I think there's only I think they're only outside of the facility. I don't think they're inside the facility. If I'm right or wrong, I'm not totally sure. But I don't have enough friends to play the game with, so I can never tell if there's any pre-recording stuff you have to pick up in Lethal inside the facilities. I don't know. I have to look that up if possible. But yeah. I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing. Let me see. That. Actually, I thought drawing this version of Sonic was going to be a lot easier, but it came out and seemed like it just feels just as much problematic because I have to keep things simplistic. Okay. And his tail should be about here, I think. Oh, a little bit more higher. I'll set that. You know, all the years I've seen Sonic, I never seen his tail wag. Is that funny? Is that weird? I've never seen Sonic ever see his tail wag. I know that's kind of weird to say, but is that a thing? Can he wag his tail? I think all of them have tails. I think even Shadow has a tail. Yeah, I think all of them has tails. I think Tails is the only real character that moves their tails and out of necessity of movement. I think even Cheese has tail. I think she has a tail. Yeah, she's a bunny. She She must have a tail. At least a bunny tail, at least. Yeah, I think they all run with tails. I think even Amy has a tail. I think she's a hedgehog as well. She probably has a tail. It's more like a giant afterthought, to be honest, when I think of it now. Okay, now I'm gonna clean you up completely. All I need to do is outline you.
The problem is it doesn't really grab you, or the way it engages with the player. To use Exoprimal as a brilliant example, that sort of does little snippet logs and cutscenes, but kind of tied them together on a weird sort of investigation board that kept you involved and kept you curious. So this sort of drops the ball there. In fact, the main way that you unlock all this is you start unlocking these side solo missions, which are the weakest part of the game, and are arguably the closest to a traditional Bandai Namco type game, in that you do these single player runs, you're in special gear, it's a totally spin-off side thing, you kill lots and lots of bandits, they're powered down, you're powered up, so it's this sort of single player gauntlet, kind of linear, you pick up these logs and you finish it, and you unlock the story content. So it's almost like this tacked on B version of, like Sandland or something like that thrown in the back end, and I don't really get it, because it's super secondary, it's sporadic, it's locked behind, 6 to 12 hours of gameplay, and all their marketing material is from that story.
A protein treat. Think it'll work?
Well, protein bars aren't very fun.
So I don't know what to tell you there. So yeah, I think it's quite brilliant. Look, it's getting smashed in the reviews at the moment. I had a look at them really quickly. You got to realize it's in advanced access, where you can pay a ridiculous premium to play the game early. And what sort of person is going to play that? Probably someone with very high expectations, if they're willing to pay half the price again. So, time will tell how advanced access plays out. But I think you got to be careful that you're going to be getting your most highly scrutinizing reviewers setting the standard before the release. Like, if you look at this on Steam right now, it's at 50%. That's probably not encouraging pre-orders, but I digress. A lot of complaints in there along the lines of that there are, free-to-play pay items or season pass style pay mechanics inside a full-price game. I get it. The culture is that those two things should be separate. I think it's a bit cheeky. Honestly, it's low impact. I barely looked at the season pass thing. I forgot I had it. It gave me a few pieces of items. None of it's intrusive. That's the important thing, right? If you're just a normie like me, you're not even going to know that they're there. And it's just catering to the 1% whales that want to buy bloody mini skirts for their waifu. It's not a big deal. I think more people are just getting inflamed over, the pearl clutchy reaction that we have these days to having these compounding systems, which I don't think is super unreasonable. I'm just saying, in the scheme of things, yes, it has these things in there that you usually see in free-to-play games. No, they don't seem to make really any huge impact on the game. The other thing that's a bit weak is you get pre-order armor, which is ridiculously powerful, by the way. I threw mine on the ground as soon as I started playing and realized what was going on, because I fucking hate pre-order bonuses. Can't stand when I see press reviews when they're driving around in the special car that they get because they're on a mailing list. So well, I'm big upping myself, but I usually try and throw that shit away. But these people that actually paid for this game, paid extra for this pre-order bonus, and then they got shot in their head 5 minutes into a run and they lose it, are a bit miffed, and I can understand that. And that's probably Bandai Namco's fault for not telegraphing what an extraction shooter actually is to these, whale-type customers. I don't mean that as an insult, but it's like, it doesn't really do you much good when you kind of nickel and dime your early adopters. Anyway, look, this has gone on for ages, but I feel like I've been fairly concise and covered a lot of stuff. There is a bit of history, a bit of shenanigans around the marketing, and to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of black hole content around this. There's either people just bashing it whole cloth, not a lot of people took the time to explain this, and I myself had to figure out a lot of stuff, especially like how the PvP really worked. And I hope this has been informative So yeah, if you made it this far, drop me a comment or something, give me some
LOL.
feedback. If you're into this, maybe you're not into it or anything like that. It is appreciated. But yeah, I don't want to waffle anymore. I'm going to lose my voice, so might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
To amuse you is my only wish.
Not gonna lie, that was interesting. That was interesting. That was an interesting review, or I don't know if that was a review. Was that a review? I don't know what the fuck that was called, but it was interesting nonetheless. Different. I don't know how I feel about it though.
Genshin Impact is getting fined. This could be the end, guys. This could be the end of the waifus. Not yet, but it's coming. So, Cognisphere, the developer behind popular game Genshin Impact, has agreed to a $20 million fine to settle charges brought by the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. FTC accused them of deceiving players with misleading probabilities for winning in-game items through loot boxes, of improperly collecting personal data from children without parental consent. As part of the settlement, this is the important part. This is the very important part. Listen to this. As part of the settlement, the company is also required to implement new measures preventing players under 16 from buying loot boxes without parental approval. Gentlemen, it may, in fact, be over. That's bad. That's really bad. This is so stupid. No, it's not. In my opinion, I think that any game that sells something with uncertain odds should be classified as gambling and should not be accessible in any capacity by a minor. It's that simple.
Okay.
This is fine. FIFA isn't. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Anyway, we'll get into it. FTC says Genshin Impact deceived children, teens, and other players into spending hundreds of dollars on prizes they stood little chance of winning.
There we go.
Let me tell you something. So true. Somebody at the FTC lost their 50-50. And now we're getting real change. That's right, gentlemen. It's happening. And so what really matters here, and so this is the following changes that have to happen to Genshin Impact. Let's take a look at it. Children under 16 will not be able to purchase loot boxes without parental consent. Massive. All loot boxes available for purchase with virtual currency will also be made available for direct purchase using real money. Wow. Loot box odds and exchange rates for multi-tiered virtual currency will have to be accurately disclosed and not misrepresented. Any personal information collected from players under the age of 13 will be deleted. This is a COPPA that's COPPA, which is 13 and below. You can't have their data. And regulations, including its notice to consent requirements, will be complied with. So there we go, gentlemen. Things are looking very bad for the waifu collectors. And the FTC, obviously, they haven't gone through a bunch of the other games.
All you have to do.
Now, what I find to be very frustrating about this is actually something that I saw a little bit ago, is that I think Genshin Impact is getting, they're getting a little bit of the short end of the stick. And this is kind of what's happened to TikTok as well. The deception Americans can't read. While I do think limiting purchases for children is a good thing, I feel this speaks more to a parenting issue. Also, we all know they're doing this because it's a Chinese game, because EA games are out there doing just fine. Why is it that FIFA can do this, but Genshin Impact can't? What's the problem here? How is this happening?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a parenting issue. It absolutely is a parenting issue. If your kids are spending your money and you don't know what to do with if you can't control your kid using your credit card, you are a retarded fucking parent and you should have never had kids. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're so fucking stupid. I am not like, of course these rules should be there. And yes, absolutely. Like there's plenty of rules that you have to have because it's not okay for the companies to take advantage of kids that have bad parents. But it's also, I'm not going to just say that it's entirely the company's fault. Because if you're a bad parent and you're letting your kid do this, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to blame this on Genshin Impact, right? Kids steal credit cards. If your kid is stealing, I would not even dream in a million years of stealing my parents' credit cards. Like, that is an insane thing to do. And the kids that do that are probably, like, their parents are probably trash and garbage. And so it's a crime. Yes, exactly. And also, they could immediately refund it, too. So any game, so this is the policy that a lot of these video games have, is that they will refund purchases, but it will ban the account. So like they said, okay, well, you can have your money back, but you're getting your account banned.
Actually, the
so
original
at
dummy
that
was
point, where's the problem?
This was the original
so now
dummy.
the parent is
Then we
letting
went
the
from
kid spend the money, and they're
Then we
not
went from
getting the
this.
refund because what? They don't want the kid to lose the account after
then
they
we went
stole your
for
fucking credit card to spend money on it.
Much cleaned up.
And I'm supposed to blame the
Much
company?
More easier to see, visualize what you're looking at.
Really? Like, I'm supposed to blame the company for this? Are you kidding me?
That's good.
Break free with the new Opera GX, the browser that puts you in control with a brand new design that frees up even more pixels for person.
So like, okay, so he comes to Sonic and he says to him, like, okay, what's this? Okay. So he goes to Sonic, he's like, hey, Sonic, I didn't know you can run that fast, or some stupid shit. Or something like that. He's like, hey, Sean, I didn't know you can run that fast. That's so amazing. How do you do it? And he's like, well, and then he's like, wait, he has a moment, he's like, wait, fuck. How do I do it? But he didn't want to look like an idiot from his friend, so he's like, well, I'm just fast. And pretty much he was supposed to point at him saying, no, you're just fucking slow. You're just an idiot. you're just a slow idiot. That's pretty much what it is. Oh, there's the other one. I was trying to figure that out. So like, let me see if I can get it. So right here. Might be it. Did I delete that too? Okay. What is this one? What the fuck? I have too many layers. I gotta get rid of these layers. There's too many of them. Okay. Oh, that's the old one. Okay. So he's got a point at him.
BENDOVA said maybe he's just acting to be an idiot.
Yeah. It's based on the sound that we're gonna use in the video. I memorized the video sound, but just like I gotta make sure that the sound, the words make sense to the gestures. Let's see. Like 1, 2, 3. Oh. 1. The consistency of where the
Wonder
feet
Babe
are.
said love it blue heart emoji.
It's cute. It's cute. 1, 2. At least it stays in the consistency.
BENDOVA said I won't trust this kind of things.
Let me see. So I'm gonna turn him down. Well, we should clean this one up too. I should clean him up. What time is it? It's 5:53. It's 5:53. So 1. I fix his eye. I know his eye is kind of like, what the fuck? What's wrong with his eye? This one needs cleaning up too. Need to clean him up. Well, yeah, they need to be cleaned up because they're not. The hands are not done like this one. This is actually the most. This one is the most done out of all of them. So this one's the done one. This one's gonna be next. This one's gonna be next. This one's gonna be next. And then this one, and then the last one. That's gonna be the last pose.
BENDOVA said what graphic tab have you got?
I have a GTX 4 something. No. GTX 3060, 3070. I remember right? Let's see, grab the computer, copy, and then get this.
BENDOVA said okay.
Paste. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this down. Okay. Share the same height. Yep, body's two about here. Grab body. Pull it down more, about there. Just about there. Oop. Hey, get back there. Pull it down. There we go.
Personalization and an inventory.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's a perfect punishment. Yes, exactly. This is crazy. Don't you see an issue in then implementing age limitations on the internet? Identifying the age of minors means age and identity verification for all users, also adults. Also, no more anonymous gaming. There was never anonymous gaming when you're paying for something with a credit card. You give your information by paying for something because they check the information with the bank. There was never anonymous to begin with. What are you talking about anonymous? Anyway, yeah, that's already known, man. Anyway, what a dog shit chatter. Yeah, I see your point of view, and I think that you have, in abstract, you have a point of view. You have a good point, but that's not in this circumstance, right? That's it. That's what, what's this here? And that's what belts were invented for? No, I don't believe in hitting your kids. If you hit your kids, you're a retard. I also, you know, we haven't had this happen for a few days. So it's happening again. This will get you a permaban. I love Jadion. I think he's great, but I don't want to be reminded every 3 seconds to watch his new video. I can't wait to watch it, though. It's going to be exciting. Please stop doing that. If you spam in my chat asking me to do the same things constantly, that's somebody you need the belt for, right? But if you hit your kids, you're a retard. That's the way I look at it. So it's that simple. Now, even spanking and hitting, there's no difference. And anyway, so let's go back and we're going to look at a few more things with this Genshin Impact topic and talk about it. So basically, Genshin Impact is getting regulated. This is something that is long overdue, okay? It's needed sometimes. Well, yeah, it's needed in the instances of parents being inadequate.
Wait,
no, you're right. There are times where parents are inadequate. They can't garner respect. They can't demand respect from their kid, and they have to hit their kid with threat of violence because they can't earn that respect themselves. No, it's very true. But you know, it's still not defensible.
I'm not going to color them. I want
it's
to make
absolutely
sure that
not.
the line work looks good. So.
Anyway, we can talk about this more. Anybody, by the way, if you're crying about it or whatever, there's a reason why corporal punishment and physical punishment is illegal for kids in a lot of places now, like, for example, Sweden. And so it's a good thing. And again, also one final thing about this topic. If you hit your kids, what you do is you teach them that conflict resolution, one way of conflict resolution is violence. I wonder if that's going to be useful for your kid growing up. I wonder. So yeah, great idea. Keep doing that. That way you can, I mean, we've got these minimum requirements for prisons, and so, I guess we should be saying thank you to all the parents that do that. Anyway, let's go back over, we'll look at the rest of it.
I've always struggled with losing weight and keeping it off, but I felt comfortable with hers. In a month, I've lost over 7 pounds with GLP-1 injections.
And Genshin Impact fined $20 million for selling loot boxes to teens without parental approval. I hate it when gacha players say, oh, you don't have to spend any money, or this gacha game is different from other gachas. Like, yeah, sure, buddy, as if that's the only problem with these kinds of games. Well, listen, if you're playing a gacha game, you are signing up to be a dick eater. That's it. You are signing up to be a dick eater. That's all there is to it.
What?
I think that if you have kids getting involved with this stuff, that's a totally different topic, and I think it's a huge fucking problem. Because like, and this is a big issue, that the majority of games that are advertised to kids, or sorry, the majority of games that have loot boxes that are in like the Apple and like the Google Play Store, the majority of the ones that have loot boxes are accessible to children. And loot boxes do simulate gambling. They're not gambling, but they are close to gambling. And I think that they do simulate that experience. So yeah. And does that mean that you're sponsored to be a chode eater? Yeah, sure. I mean, I can eat dicks for money. Sure, absolutely. Sometimes they taste good even. Yesterday it was delicious. But the fact is that doesn't change the fact that I know what I'm eating. Yeah. I know what it is. I mean, these games are, this is the way these games are. That's how it always is. They're the gateway to gambling? Yeah, they're the gateway to gambling, the same that weed is a gateway to heroin. Oh, by the way, yesterday I saw a fent zombie. You know, you don't see a lot of them in Austin, or at least like you haven't for a while. I was walking up to get some food, and he just shambled past me. He asked me if I had a lighter. And I was like, no, bro, I don't have a lighter. And then, you know, that was about it. The rare spawn, yeah, maybe there's more of them here. You don't go out, they're everywhere? Well, I usually don't see them a whole lot, right? To be honest, I usually leave my house twice a day. I would say like once a day in like a meaningful way to like drive more than like to the gas station. But yeah, I usually leave the house almost every day. So I don't know about that. Go walking? Yeah, I guess so. He probably thought you were one of them. Yeah, I guess so. And anyway, so this is what's happening, is that the FTC is going to be doing this. And I think it's going to keep happening. And it's going to be more and more common that more and more people that are involved in regulation will understand the way that these games are trying to target children. Because what's happening right now is that a lot of these companies, they're getting away with it because the regulatory forces don't understand the video games and they don't get what's going on. Because they're not playing the games, they don't understand it at all. Now they are, and here we go. So this is at Skill-Based Matchmaking. Yeah, do you think Valve will change? I have no idea. And so, and people are talking about this a lot. Not to defend a multi-billion-dollar company, but aren't the gacha mechanics explained in game? If you're allowing your kids to spend your money on a gacha game, then that's just bad parenting. I'm sorry. I think this guy is totally fucking right. So both things can be true. If your kids are taking your money and spending it without you knowing, you're a shitty parent, but they're also making a shitty game. So you don't need to decide one thing is right and one thing isn't right. They're both right, and they're both dumb. That's it. Or it's a smart kid. No, it's not a smart kid. If you're getting outsmarted by your kid spending money in Genshin Impact, well, for one, if your kid was smart, they wouldn't be doing this in the first place, okay? So let's just get that right out of the way. Anyway, we'll look at a few more of these too.
Thank you.
Yeah, kid, thanks. Yeah, let's be
Bro,
let's be
hit it on the nail.
A little bit smarter about this, right?
Bro, hit that shit on the nail. I am not even kidding. He hit the fucking nail.
What a coincidence. They're targeting a Chinese company and not going after the American gaming companies like Blizzard. Well, EA is the bad one because they're the ones that make FIFA. So FTC was looking at all these children. I was unable to get in the gacha. This is unacceptable. Yeah, sure. FTC, you stupid motherfuckers. They're not trying to appeal to children. They're trying to appeal to me. No, this is retarded. Games like Genshin Impact are absolutely targeted towards underage people. Like, I'm not saying that that's the only people that play it, or they're only allowing kids to play it, or even most people that play it are kids. But there is a big contingency of them that are kids, and to say otherwise is so fucking delusional, I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, let's be honest. He's not wrong. It's like, if you put it in perspective, there's a lot of kids that are into, what do you call it? Has-Been Hotel, or what the fuck it's called. That's for literal adults, but I know children who knows that show. There's children who knows that show. They know the characters. And that's literally for adults, but because it's free, right? It's free. It's on YouTube, and kids can just access it. They know all the things about that goes on in that show. And it's literally for adults. And that's why you can have kids have their, Has-Been Hotel sonas, or the fuck? This is not like Sonic, right? This is something quite different from something from Sonic Sonas to like Hazbin Hotel. Okay, you're literally making a demon's like character in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. It's just, fuck.
Fuck are you gonna say that's not true?
There's a difference.
This is not about the children. They don't give a fuck about this. It's only about money. I think so too. And anyway, so let's see over here. We'll look at a couple more of these. The U.S. is coming for every Chinese soft power win TikTok. Gaming, you name it. Yep, I think that's exactly it. I think that Genshin Impact is being targeted primarily because they are a Chinese company. And the fact is that FIFA, whatever Genshin Impact does, FIFA does it way worse and to a much higher degree. China's allowed to buy out American and Western-owned companies where the vice versa can't happen. That's something totally different. Like, we're talking about two separate things. Anyway, with this, I think it's a huge issue. Like, gacha games are a big issue. I think that it should be illegal to sell a item inside of a video game that you don't know what you're buying. Period. If you ever spend money on an outcome in a video game that is not certain, that should not be possible. It's just gambling. Well, yes, it is. It's functionally gambling. It's not the same as casino gambling, but it is gambling. That's such a retarded take. Why? Like, I mean, again, if you guys, if people disagree, that's fine, but you have to explain why. Saying you're wrong just gets you banned. There's gambling ads in the stadium where the children are. Yes, but the children are not able to actively go and gamble themselves. That's the difference. These games are accessible to children in a way that gambling on websites and gambling in casinos is not accessible. How much fault would you put in the company and the parents? I think that they, I don't think that you have to choose. I think that if your kids are getting addicted to gacha games and they're losing their money on gacha games, you failed as a parent and you're stupid. And you're an inadequate, dumb parent, and, you know, apparently that's genetic. Because you've got kids that are addicted to a gacha waifu selector, right? So there's definitely that. And then there's also the companies that are trying to farm these kids and trying to take advantage of them. And so I feel like they're... And also, if you want to act like, oh, well, they're just trying to target kids, it's not that big of a deal. Look at this.
With weight loss by Hims, customers report losing over 11 pounds in just their first month with compounded
zesty.
So China introduced rules on reducing spending inside of video games that primarily targeted children, and it caused Tencent, one of the biggest companies in the world, to lose over 10%. Some people are saying 12, some people are saying 16% of their stock. And they rolled it back because of how damaging it was. No way China targeting China? Yeah, but they rolled it back, though. That's the thing. And so for you to say that, like, it's very clear that they have a business model that's built around underage people spending money unknowingly without them understanding what they're doing. Like, and I just wanted to show you, like, that's an example of, like, what happens. So I'll look at a few more of these, and it's almost like you guys forgot Gacha is a game to create money. It's what a Jesus Christ, how stupid. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else that's interesting to look at about this. Dev screen, the FTC used Klee, Kwikwi, Chichi, Diona, and Paimon as reasons it's targeting children. It is. Like, Genshin Impact undeniably targets underage people. Like, it's undeniably targeted towards people that are underage. Like, if I saw a game like Genshin Impact, I would say that the target audience is 14. For sure. Like, how are we even talking about this? Absolutely, that's the case. It doesn't mean that adults don't play it too, but, like, the entire style of the game, the way that, like, the topics that are covered in the game, generally, like, with a lot of these gacha games, these are not, like, high-end topics, right? More like 16, 18. I'd say 14. But, you know, I guess it really depends. But anyway, the FTC is focusing on the wrong problem here. The truth is Genshin Impact deceived children, teams, and other players into playing Genshin Impact. Okay, there you go. I'm crying. Game literally puts the exact percentages for probability in obtaining characters on each banner. Gacha games are avaricious by nature, but this isn't deception. Cultivate better parenting practices if you want your children to not do stupid things. no way Genshin Impact made the US government actually do something good for the industry. Man. Hopefully this is what's next. This is what should be next. Can't this lead to trading cards being the same thing? I think that that's a logical interpretation, but I feel like you could... It's a lot easier to look at digital items because there's no logical reason why a digital item needs to be randomized, whereas there could be a logical reason why a physical item needs to be randomized. So with digital ownership is like, it's not real. Like, you don't digitally own anything, really. It's just like lines of code. And with a physical product, it's very different. So I think that you bring up a good point with things like, you know, like trading cards. But I think it's focusing on the low-hanging fruit first, which is these online video games that simulate the same exact thing. Trading cards are a tangible object. They're a tangible object that you also own, right? Yeah, there we go. Gotchas really to be banned after TikTok. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Probably not going to happen, but I just think it's really funny. EA generated $1.6 billion in revenue last year just from Ultimate Team modes. But hey guys, Genshin Impact is the problem. Keep that in mind, okay? You can prove there's X amount of Charizards in circulation too. Rates of gacha pulls are more mysterious. Yeah, and you can't reverse engineer them either. And you also don't have ownership of the character. So like when you... Like this is a big thing that a lot of people don't really understand. Is that when you buy something in a video game, you're buying a license to use that can be revoked at any reason at any time for any reason. So just because you spend money in a game and you have something doesn't mean that they can't just immediately take it away from you. So like you don't have any rights, you don't have any protections, and I think this is a big problem. What do you think of online card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. I don't know enough about Yu-Gi-Oh! To like really have an opinion on it. I'm just saying, like with any of these games that you buy with uncertain outcomes, I think that it's a big problem. You own nothing in video games? Yeah, you basically do.
I'll keep working on this later on.
That's exactly why I don't spend money on app games. You own nothing. Only U.S. companies should be able to steal money from Americans.
Video game. When
am I going to get a CSGO refund? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if we're going to play Lethal. I don't
you sign away the rights at the start of the game, though? Yeah, but just because you... I don't agree with this idea that just because you can entice somebody to sign...
Just draw or something.
So, a TOS is never legally binding.
Hey, what's up,
like, you cannot make a TOS legally binding because you don't know who clicked the button and you don't know what influence they were under when they clicked the button. So, number one, you're not sure who actually signed it. Number two, the person could be drunk, which in some cases voids a contract because they're not actually of lucid mind whenever they decide to take on the contract. So, the idea that the TOS in any way voids any liability or accountability is ridiculous. It like immediately falls apart. TOS hopes you never take it to court. Yeah, court rules and the law automatically overrules the TOS. Like, the terms of service are just what they're going to do, but the law is what they have to do. Yeah, drunk doesn't violate TOS. Yes, but drunk violates accountability from signing TOS, which is what I said. The code is the law. Yeah, it's a little bit different. And it really depends. Yeah, always be drunk. There you go. That's the solution. So yeah, Genshin Impact is being regulated by the government. Hopefully this is the beginning of the end of all these video games that are introducing pseudo-gambling mechanisms. Obviously, I play a lot of them. Some of them have great gameplay, and I enjoy them. But at the same time, I do think that they are... I would say that they are predatory because they target people who are underage. And they also do things that are uncertain. And I feel like all gambling is predatory to some degree. There's obviously a tier list to this, but they are on the list. So yeah, it's that simple. I'll read a few more comments about this and then we'll look at the next stuff. But yeah, FTC is regulating Genshin Impact. Oh boy.
Okay.
This may look like your favorite childhood crispy treat, but with 12 grams protein and only 1 gram of sugar.
Alright guys, so I'm going to stop from here. Have a great night, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me doing my late night work. when I can't sleep. So, this was fun. It was pretty fun. I don't really mean to stream these late or at all. It's just that I just couldn't sleep and I just wanted to get something done. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 3. Yeah, there we go. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gotta stay consistent by the sizing of the body. Think about it consistent. Not keep it consistent. Alright, let me just grab this one real quick. No. Grab this real quick. That goes far. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I kind of like this. Like, fuck you. Oh, he looks so like, oh, like I'm not gonna apologize for shit. No. He looks like he just don't give a fuck. Oh, I actually enjoy this one. This one is, oh man, I would make this into a profile picture. This is funny. Okay, so he's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't know why I find it so funny. I like this. I wish Sonic does this more often. Just don't give a fuck. He's like, fuck you. I do what I please. I'm Sonic the frickin' Hedgehog. You ain't tell me shit. Alright. So with that said, have a great night, guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I'm not gonna mess with the sponsor. Do that tomorrow. This is not really a sponsor stream right now. So have a great night. Keep safe. If you guys like what you see, please follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and all that great stuff. I do appreciate it. If you want to see more of me, if you want to see more of my work, if you want to see what I post this Friday and Saturday, I'll be posting it this Friday and Saturday, or so. So I'll clean this up and all the rest and have it ready by Saturday. I think I'm gonna post this Saturday, and I'm gonna post the JJK one on Friday. I might have something for Sunday, but I really doubt it, but we'll see. So that said, have a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep safe. Follow me, link in bio, all that stuff. I appreciate it. I'm out. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Thank you.